Hey, what's going on? Hello, how are you, Slant Alpha adventurers? And it is a Slant Lima adventure tonight. What's going on? Welcome to another one of our adventures, regardless of which equipment code it falls under. Hello. I realized coming into tonight that I have not flown this aircraft on this stream in literally over 2 months. So this is what has become sort of a rare treat. Now, it doesn't technically count, because in the meantime there were about a half dozen of those Friday Night Hotspot FNO Preview shows that we did. Of course, we did not do those on this Twitch channel. However, they did end up on our YouTube channel, both VATUSA's and our YouTube channel. Of course, they were live streamed originally on the VATUSA Twitch, VATSIM, twitch.tv/VATSIMUSA. So we have flown this thing a handful of times for you. It just hasn't been on this particular Twitch. And like I said, that's been over 2 months now. So long overdue, though. Even counting the ones that we did for FNO Preview, it's been quite a few weeks, and very happy to be flying this for you again. It is the working title mod for the Citation CJ4 for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. And brilliantly done airplane. By the way, they updated it after Sim update number 8 here for the Sim, which puts the Sim on version 1.23.12.0. There was a corresponding update to the working title mod, which updated it to version 0.12.12. However, there was a bug fix release to that, which they released within a day or two, but however, they're still calling it 0.12.12. So if you have 0.12.12, you may or may not have the actual most recent version. So what I recommend is if you got it right away after Sim Update 8 came out, and you didn't wait until later that weekend or perhaps yesterday or today, then you might want to just go ahead and download 0.12.12 again, because it is going to have one slight little bug fix about some cockpit alarms. And so you might want to go ahead and grab that. So we have the updated version of the Citation CJ4 here. And we have a few folks that have stopped into the stream already. Spicy Wood is here. STW has checked in with some Sky Command hellos there. Star Lugo and Peeble are here as well. Great to have you aboard as always, guys. A couple of off-screen thingy-majiggies I need to do. Yeah, just go ahead and unmute that. STW has jumped into our voice chat, so he's going to get the feed of my lovely baritone twice. Or did you prefer to have it muted, ST? Which way works better for you?
Probably just listening through Discord, because it
Listening
comes through.
Yeah, because you get it through live that way.
Sooner and all that.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. I will leave it that way. Vindictus says, thanks to the CJ4 reminder downloading now. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. It's a little bit of a weird situation. Normally, if they do a bug fix, they're going to, 12.12a or, 12.13 or whatever. But in this case, they left the version number the same. So if you got it like the instant SU8 came out, and then that same day the 12.12 came out, then you probably have the earlier 12.12. If you're not sure, just to be sure, go ahead and delete it out of your community folder and pull in that new current 12.12 version, which is what we have here. The other thing that we have here, which is very exciting, is a new, what could I call it, a mod or an app or a plugin for the for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 by a group called AspiringPilots, and it's called Toolbar Pushback. You guys may remember that we were using one called Pushback Helper, which actually was a standalone app that would run outside of the sim, and you'd have to start it up separately. But it basically gave you some pretty rudimentary, fairly basic controls of pushing straight back, pushing back to the left, pushing back to the right, stopping, engaging the parking brake. It did put a visual representation of a push bar, a pushback tug there, which you could add or take away. No, the visual tug was put in by the DC-6. The one by Pushback Helper didn't have a visualization of it, but it just hooked it up, logically speaking. So yeah, we've got the Pushback Toolbar Pushback mod or app or whatever you want to call it, plug in. And we're going to play with that a little bit today. Of course, you can see from the position that we're parked on the ramp here, we don't really need to push back from where we're sitting, and that's often the case on a general aviation ramp, depending on how you're parked when you start up. But we're going to play around with it anyway, just to mess with it, see how it works. We've been told from both, I believe it was Melvin and I think 757 Spy, I know 757 Spy for sure got the update with the pre-planner. Well, that's the big news, though, is the update to it. It's been out for a little while. But the update provides it with that pre-planner, that top-down view of where you want to be pushed back to in multiple steps. Yes, StarLugo has it dead on. It looks very much like that interface that comes with the one for X-Plane called Better Pushback, which is itself a separate plugin add-on for X-Plane. So these again are not functions that come core with either sim. But X-Plane, of course, we've long used that separate plugin called Better Pushback, and so now, finally, for Flight Sim 2020, we have one that behaves pretty similarly to it, or at least that's what we're told, and we'll find out today maybe if we can mess around with it just a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a second. There's one, of course, always undocumented checklist item that we have to get to. So I'm already starting to choke up a little bit. I'm just so emotional about flying this CJ4 for you today. All right, guys. We are, by the way, just to give you a sense of the plan, we are going to fly from Colorado Springs out to Eagle County, which is this one up here. We're going to go from Eagle County just down the street to Aspen, and then from Aspen we'll get up and go again, and we will end up down here at Telluride, which is one of these. Yep, there it is. I'll say it's tucked into the mountains there. Telluride's non-towered. Aspen and Eagle do have control towers. They're deltas. The one that we're starting from tonight is Colorado Springs, which is a Charlie, or no, is that's Kremmling VOR. Okay, so yeah, here's the delta around Eagle County, and then Aspen, here's the delta around that. And then we're starting from Colorado Springs, which is a Charlie, although I don't think we have any VATSIM air traffic control on in this region right now. I think we were trying to get some, and we have one of our friends in the Discord that is connected with the VATSIM Denver Air TCC that was going to try and scare up some control for us. At least so far, it doesn't seem like that has happened, but that doesn't mean that it won't later on. So we will see how that goes. But there's our first leg, by the way. We've already filed that on VATSIM, but there's our first leg. We're going to do, and it's the Colorado Springs 6, or I think it's just called the Springs 6. But KCOS-KEGE-KASE-KTEX, yeah, it's just called Springs 6 departure. It's a radar vector departure. We're going to take it up to the Mile High VOR. Reason we're going to do that is because the approach, Lava says his effort hasn't been very successful so far. That's all right, man. Appreciate the effort. Don't worry about it. If we get air traffic control in, great. If not, we'll do without it. It's not a problem. Oh, the prize list, which we'll talk about later. So the reason we're coming up to Denver VOR, because the approach into Eagle County comes off of this Kremmling VOR. There's several different ones. We've got the LDA to 25, which is kind of the more commonly flown one, but we've also got an RNAV GPS to runway 25. And both of them initiate at that Kremmling VOR station. So we figured we needed a route that would take us to Kremmling, but I wanted one that would take us to Kremmling on a path that was not like that real crazy sharp turn there. So I went ahead and said, well, we'll just go due north. And it was also, I wanted to make sure, so we could come to Red Table, and that would put us down here. Where's Red Table? Red Table's this one here, but that would put us going Red Table to Kremmling and then doing this almost 180-degree left-hand turn to get on the approach for Eagle County. So figured it made much more sense to come into Kremmling kind of from the east, and so even though it's a little bit out of our way, it's kind of the way that we're going to go tonight. The other thing to note is that we aren't really using real-world weather here, and as much as I feel like this aircraft, the CJ4, is a very capable aircraft of handling adverse weather conditions. So it's not that scared me away, but it's the fact that the snow texture over the runways snow and ice texture over the runways and taxiways is still kind of messed up in the sim, where the snow falls and then it just stays there and nobody ever plows it. So it ends up kind of being rather unrealistic to have this unbroken white coat over the entire airport where you can't tell where any of the surfaces are. So instead of dealing with that, we decided to cheat the weather a little bit. It is a lovely evening in the spring, says Automated. We're going to make it that
You
way.
know, I went and picked up some scenery for this airport, and it seems like the snow's not too bad with it.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that you put that link in. It was a little bit too late for me to grab that, so I'll have to do with that for
It
today.
looks like at least near where I am, all the taxiways are clean.
I'll have to check that out then. Don't know if that's a function of the weather or if that's the scenery that has some influence over that.
I think it's probably the scenery.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely check that out for next time. All right, at any rate, guys, we are here. We are in the aircraft, and we are ready to go. I do have my profile set up already. Oh, by the way, you notice that you are seeing this toolbar pop up every time I move my mouse, which you haven't seen in months and months and months on this channel. Oh, that's me that created it, Automator? That's you that created the scenery that ST was talking about? Is that true? And if that's the case, Automator, I would love to hear you weigh in on that question. Did you do something to the surfaces that makes them less snow-covered in snow cover? Because that would be very interesting to know. At any rate, you guys haven't seen that toolbar up there in months and months. But the suppressor, the toolbar suppressor mod that I was using, does not work with this pushback toolbar app or toolbar. I think I keep getting the words confused. It's Toolbar Pushback app or Toolbar Pushback plugin, but the toolbar suppression mod conflicts with that, so I have to leave that toolbar there. So you're going to see that stupid line and triangle pop up at the top of the screen every time I move the mouse around. On Flights NTO, it usually has to do with the coloring of the default textures, says Vindictus and Automator, is what has to do with it. Oh, interesting. That's good to know. That gives us, so runways with a good amount of tire marks will be clear on the tire marks. Just generally darker asphalt will also be mostly snow-free. That is good to know. Of course, that's true in the real world too, right? The darker color gets warmer and retains that heat a little better. So, not totally unrealistic, although I highly doubt Asobo coded it that way on purpose. But at any rate. So it is the Springs 6. We're going to take radar vectors to Mile High. We'll probably be radar vectoring ourselves to Mile High, which is fine. We're going to take the Victor 8 westbound to Kremmling, and then from Kremmling we will initiate either the LDA or the RNAV. We'll see what the we'll talk about what might lead you to do one over the other when we get there. It's pretty short flight, by the way. We are parked up here, by the way. The general aviation parking on this ramp over here on the west side seems to be where you'd want to put this plane, but there were no startup positions on the default scenery there. So we're parked up here at what they call Hangar 1. I don't know if this whole thing is an Air Force Reserves. That's definitely marked Air Force Reserves ramp down here closer to the tower. So I don't know if these are private or if these are GA. But we didn't have any startup locations over here on the west side, so we just started up here near the very northwest tip of the airport.
Yeah,
all right, let's go, guys.
Where you were, because I'm just at the main GA parking area. I guess the scenery added parking spaces there.
The scenery add-on probably did, yeah. So the Automator says the whole side you're on is Air Force. GA is on the west side, says Automator. Instead, ST said that the add-on scenery for Colorado Springs, which I did not install, probably would have fixed that. Okay, well, that's all right. We'll know for next time, said the pilot as he climbed out of his simulated wreckage. All right, so the control profiles are set. Levers are all in their starting positions. We'll go ahead and get the battery switch on. It sounds like Mrs. Slant coming home finally. Battery switch can come on. The emergency lights can be armed, and the standby display is on. We'll reset the master caution and the warning. We'll put the avionics into dispatch mode. Reset the caution again. Nav and logo lights can come on. The nav light I've got down here. Logo lights I'll just hit manually on the VC. We'll go ahead and get the position initialized in the FMC, which will pop the GPS point down there. We don't have a flight plan in, that's fine. We will put one in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and turn COM2 down, nav1 and nav2 down, and the marker beacon sounds down so that we're monitoring only, whoops, oh that's the one, yeah, we just clicked that, okay. So we're monitoring only COM1 and transmitting on COM1 as well, and we'll get to the frequency here in just a little bit, but at least right now the audio panel is set up. Let's go ahead and file our flight plan. We'll go to where we says FPLN. We'll type in our origin of KCOS. And we're headed to KEGE as stop number 1 of 3 tonight. So 3 entries into our landing rate raffle this evening if all goes according to plan. We're not at the end of the plan just yet. File it, what we already did. We can then check the ATIS or the METAR, which we don't need to do because we're not simulating real-world conditions. COM1 frequency, yeah, then we'll go ahead and tune 22.8. Pop that in there, and that's fine. Would obtain our clearance if we had one to obtain, and now we go back and do the flight plan thing, which we have already kind of started. So the departures and arrivals well, let's tell you what. Let's at least see what the real-world wind conditions are, so we can kind of play cooperatively at least with the other traffic here. As far as width and runway, we would go 140 at 8. So we're going to take a southbound runway. 3008 is what we would set in the altimeter if we were.
I'm going to be taking 17 right when I do depart.
Roger. So we are going to take the KOS-6. It's radar vector, so there's no transition. 17 right is what our friend ST just said, and that's the one that we're closest to the end of anyway, so that makes the most sense for us to do the same. And we will go ahead and execute that. Then we'll go back to, we'll go back to flight plan. Go to the next page there. So it's Colorado Springs to DVV, then Denver, and then it's Victor 8. And from, are you still thinking about that, or did I not type it in right? Try it again. Victor 8 there. Okay, yeah, took it that time. Victor 8 then to Kremmling, RLG. And
are you sure there's a Victor 8 around here? I don't see it. I see one Victor 108.
Am I sure there's a Victor 8? Well,
and there's a 328. Yeah. Oh wait, I see Victor 8. Not I see it. We're good.
Yep.
I'm gonna be doing a different route than that though.
That's fine. Alright, so off of Victor 8 then to Kremmling, and then let's figure out now which approach are we going to want to do. The LDA gives us minimums of 8330. The RNAV GPS gives us higher minimums. Let's go ahead and do the LDA. Not that with not simulating real world conditions, we can really do either one. They're very similar in path anyway. This just because it's a conventional nav. Conventional nav procedure, it takes a straight path from Kremmling to join the final approach course, whereas this one is a little bit more varied course, a little bit more zigzaggy course. But let's go ahead and just do the LDA 25. Unless a controller comes on in the meantime and tells us something different, that's what we'll plan on. And so we'll go departures and arrivals again. Arrival into EGE, LDA 25. From Kremmling is correct, and we'll go ahead and execute that. Alright, so that should be the complete route. We will step through it here in just a moment just to make sure that it looks the way we expect it to, but for right now, let's go ahead and get our performance numbers in for departure. So performance initialization first, we got to let the plane know what we filled it up to weight-wise. We got a lot of fuel in it already. If I put 8 passengers in, okay, I guess it's fine. And then the cargo is only going to be about 500, 525 maybe. I always fill it up between 17,000 and 17,100. That's always where I put it. And as long as you get somewhere in that range, that's definitely close enough. And then we're only going to go to 16,000 today because it's, like I said, it's a pretty short flight. So then we'll go to our takeoff performance. Outside air temp, again, we would get off of the METAR, or we can read it right here off of the static air temp off of the display. But again, we're not simulating real-world conditions, so what's in the METAR won't be useful to us. We'll have to go with what our simulator is producing right there, so we'll go with that. And we'll go to the next page. And these are our speeds, 107 and 108 would be our V1 and our V rotate. So if we get to 107 with no engine trouble, we will go airborne. We will rotate at 108, and we will pitch to 140. If we do have engine trouble before 107, or any other safety-related item that causes us to want to abort the takeoff, before 107, we'll do that. After 107, we'll go ahead and depart with whatever problems we got. We'll pitch to 116 if we've got one engine, and then we'll decide what to do with whatever problems we took airborne with us. So that's the V-speeds. We'll go ahead and send those over to the primary flight display. Once they are blue, they are through. Go ahead and get the number 2 engine fired up. That way we've got some electrical power and we don't kill our battery any further than we already have. So we'll go ahead and get that started. We'll monitor it. This is going to run up to about 12, and then the ignition will automatically ignite itself there. There it goes. I'll get the beacon light on while we fire up an engine. That's always a good thing to do. This will stabilize somewhere around 53, 54. This will stabilize somewhere around 24. Temperature, we basically just want to make sure that it doesn't really spike up out of control, otherwise you'd abort the start. Notice as we've started the number 2, the right side fuel tank is starting to get slightly lighter than the left. That will continue to be the case, but we can fix that later on, or maybe we'll mess it up. Who knows? Generally, my efforts to fix that make it worse, but we'll see what happens today. All right, so there we go. Our number 2 has stabilized. We are good to go. We can go ahead and get the climate control on. That will help cool you guys off or warm you guys up, whichever it is that you need today. What else? We got SimTimidator. That is one of the best Twitch handles I've seen in a while. SimTimidator with the follow there. Thank you so much for stopping in today. Hope that you enjoy. What else we need to do? Oh, we get the avionics now into full mode. Now that we've got an engine supplying some electricity, we can go ahead and power the rest of the radios and screens up here. Barrow would be set, since we're not simulating real-world conditions. I'm assuming 2992 is correct, but we'll just check it against the charted field elevation, which is 6,187 feet at Colorado Springs, and indeed that is what is showing on the altimeter as we have it set to standard at 2992. So we're just assuming that that's what their what the default weather. What was it? Scattered clouds? I can't remember what I put it in as. I think I put it in as scattered. And we normally assume that those preset weathers just simulate standard pressure. So that's what we'll go with, as borne out by the fact that we've compared the altimeter, and it is indeed consistent with the ground elevation here. So, at this point, we'll go ahead and set our squawk since we did not receive one. IFR, you just basically want to not squawk 1200. It's an old VATSIM tradition to squawk 2200 in that situation, but that's not a real IFR code. Just as long as you're not squawking an emergency code, you're not squawking 1200 when you're IFR, then those are the kind of main things that you want to check on. It looks like TARA is already active, so this is where it should boot up in standby, and then you'd switch it to TARA at this point, but there you go. Yeah, still no VATSIM air traffic control in this area, so we'll press on as we were. Alright, so what else do I need to do here? Got the Squawk and TARA set. We can go ahead and set the flight plan mode. The Lava Cow says there's an updated METAR. Yeah, and again, we're not really simulating the conditions, but as long as it's 08... Oh, no, that's the date and time. 140 at 6 now is what it looks like. Okay, that's fine. We're still going to take 17, right? So nothing substantial has changed there. This is where I'll go into... the overhead plan mode. We'll zoom it out a little bit. And again, we're going to take off on 17 and expect vectors up to DVV. So the reason there's a discontinuity there is because we don't know what path we're going to take. We're going to follow the departure procedure. What does the departure procedure say to do off of 17 right, by the way? Just 172 to radar. Yeah, 172 for radar vectors.
Climb runway heading to 10,000, I think.
So there's that. Anyway. It was a rhetorical question, Stephen. I knew where to find the answer, but thanks. Let's see. So we can step through MFD advance, hit next a few times, make sure that the rest of the route does indeed look like we expect it to look. We can actually zoom in a peg there, and maybe not that many pegs. But yeah, we can see that it goes Kremmling. We're supposed to have a connected segment from Kremmling to Andre, because we did say that we were going to take the Kremmling transition. So that's a little bit of an oddity there. Low voltage, why? Those generator switches used to default to on. So I'll have to check out, add that back to my checklist to check on that from now on. No, or we got an engine running. We just didn't have the generators on. So from Kremmling to it's Quandary with a Q. But yeah, but they should connect. So if there's a discontinuity in the plan, we will go ahead and fix that. Although it's not a bad idea to leave it, because technically we're not cleared for that approach until the controller says we are. So we might just leave that as it is, just for the exercise. At any rate, it's shaped the way it's expected to be, and it's got all the correct points in it, so we're good to go there. The initial altitude, I believe, is 10,000. We'll come back to the departure procedure and check. It does say maintain 10, expect clearance to file at level 10 minutes after. So we will assume, again, we're going to clear ourselves up to cruise after we've departed, but just for disciplinary purposes, making sure that we are in the good habits, we're going to set only what the departure procedure clears us up to. Why did that? Yeah, there we go. Only what the departure procedure clears us up to, and then we'll go up to 16 if a controller comes on and tells us we can, or if there's still no controller on, then we'll go ahead and clear ourselves up above 10. With air traffic control, though, you never, ever, ever want to climb above either the top altitude or the altitude in your IFR clearance if it's different. Anyway, so that's that. The heading we said was a 172, which in this case is runway heading off of 17, right? It's not always going to be runway heading. It might be something else, but in this case it is. The emergency light switch, Starlugo, is this one here on the lower left-hand side. So 172. Alright, so we got the initial altitude set, we got the initial heading set, we are good to go for our before taxi flow. We can get the safety lights and seatbelt lights on. We'll go ahead and start up the number one.
Please. The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness.
Climate control
Thank you.
Climate control should actually come off while we're doing that. The igniter automatically engages at 12%, like we said before. Get up to about 53 and about 24 there. Should be roughly equivalent to what's on the right-hand side. Yeah, so what I'm told, guys, is that, and this is coming from a real-world CJ4 pilot that's in the Working Title Discord. So ground power services at airports is expensive enough that typically in a bizjet, it's much cheaper just to fire up one of the engines and run it as an APU rather than getting that ground power. Because the amount of fuel that these smaller turbofans burn in relation to, relatively speaking to like an airliner's engines, in that case, it's cheaper to get the ground power. Of course, airlines all have their own deals with the ground handling at the airports anyway, but for a bizjet operator, a lot cheaper just to fire up an engine and use that as your APU rather than to call for the ground power. Again, that's just what I'm told. I don't take it with a grain of salt. That came from one of the Working Title developers who has some experience in the real world CJ4. Anyway, so we've got all right. We got the engines up and running. We'll get that climate control back on for you. Again, everything looks nice and stable across the board. Warning panel has gone away. The engine stats panel has come up, so we're good there. Flight control would be checked, and again, we're not really checking the movement of the yoke per se, but we would check the movement of the outside control surfaces and the rudders as well. Alright, so we're good. We can go ahead and set flaps to takeoff. Make sure that they go to flaps 15. Like the trim to be set at the bottom of that green range, which it is, so we're good there. We'll look at our taxi routing, which is there's like next to none. Since we're up here at Hangar 1, we're basically just going to go westbound to Bravo 1 and then out. And we're going to definitely have to hold for a bit because we're going to need to do that. But that's the engine anti-ice. There's pitot heat. We're going to do that passenger briefing. So I'm going to go ahead and start that passenger briefing now. Kind of a long announcement. I know there's a short version, but the short version omits a lot of critical stuff in my opinion. So we'll just go ahead and do the long announcement. But we will start that announcement now, and that way hopefully by the time we get out to the runway, we'll be at least relatively close to being ready to go. We never did change the primary flight display, by the way. I'd like to have that in that track up mode. This is not meant as an aircraft following mode. Once you mess with it, it will not follow the aircraft, and in the real plane it does not follow the aircraft, and not in this north up mode anyway, but I like the north up mode, so I go ahead and just use it in north up mode, even though it's not really meant to be an in-flight mode. I use it that way, and then I manually step the points forward as needed. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit to get a little bit better of a tactical view here of what we're doing. And we know that Denver VOR is kind of behind us. Let's take a guess, guys. I don't know this airspace that well, but I'm kind of assuming they would vector us around to the left, just because of the terrain here to the west and the shape of the Charlie suggests that they would vector us around to the east, or rather, to the left off of the runway and then up toward Denver. So that's what we'll do. Again, I don't know this airspace that well, but that just kind of seems to me like it would be what someone would do with us if they happen to be online, which they are not. Alright, I think we're ready to roll, guys. We can get to the taxi lights on. We got the pitot heat on. And we'll get the parking brake off, which is there. And go ahead and just kind of turn. I want to turn westbound because that's going to take us out to our runway, but I also want to, before I get going too far, I want to get rolling straight ahead, do a brake check. Okay, brakes are good.
Do you have your Unicom put in?
I haven't yet, I'm still in the ramp.
Of the emergency exit inward, lifting the base out of the opening and into the cabin. Discard the emergency exit overboard. Exit the cabin by stepping through the opening.
Alright, taxi light is on, brakes are checked. You get the weather control, weather radar on, that's terrain. We get the terrain on the right hand side. I'm kind of taking my time too because I'm letting that announcement run its course. That says delta to 17 right. Is that taxiway diagram accurate? It's probably another thing that that add-on scenery would do is fix the taxiway signs. Yeah, there's no delta up here, so who knows what the heck that is.
Yeah, I think I saw on the page of the scenery that a bunch of taxiway markings are like manually placed.
Yeah, they usually, most of the time, the add-on scenery developers, of course, Automator's in the chat with us, so I'm sure he can confirm, but I would say 99% of the time someone does a custom add-on, custom airport, they fix the taxiways. Taxiway signage, that is.
It's kind of a shame it even needs to happen on like
Colorado
almost every
Springs
airport.
traffic, citation 514 Delta Victors, on the way to runway 17 via Bravo 1, 17 right, Colorado Springs. Yeah, it took me so long to get this huge airport done, says Automator. Alright, so there's
Colorado Springs traffic.
the hold short for 13, which
whiskey,
is, yeah, it is indeed that
heading
same
runway,
hold short, so we'll go ahead and
17 right, the Alpha 2, Alpha 1. Colorado
hold short
Springs.
there, and then we'll have to make sure that we don't turn on the 13, which would be the left, and we'll make sure we turn on the 17 right. Okay, we are ready, guys. Departure frequency is preset. We can get the landing lights and the strobe lights on. Pitot heat is already on. We'll go ahead and engage toga. That's just for the flight management computer. That doesn't do anything with throttles, but it does indeed start sequencing your points, start activating your flight director. But it doesn't jam the throttles to the firewall. That's something you have to do manually on this aircraft, so no worries there. Colorado Springs, citation 514 Delta Victors, departing runway 17 right, IFR northbound. We'll make a left turnout off of 17 right, Colorado. Okay, there's 17 right confirmed. Because of the proximity of these runways, you definitely want to double check that the numbers are correct. Alright guys, away we go. Temps and pressures all looking good. Let's fly. Throttles all the way forward into takeoff mode. Let's see if we can hold some center line here. 107's our rotation speed. Or no, 107's our V1, 108's our rotation speed. There's both. Away we go. Pitch to 140, gear can come up. Get the 7,500 or thereabouts. We'll go ahead and get the flaps in. We'll pretend we got a vector for a left turnout. Colorado Springs traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor, clear 17 right. Left turnout for IFR northbound departure, Colorado. Start slowly pitching to 240. We'll go ahead and say that we checked in with departure and got cleared up to 16 at this point. Remember, you won't go above 10 until you're told to, but in this case, we'll pretend we were told to. We're basically just kind of turning northbound here. And then we'll sort out the actual turn to the VOR. Let's see if we can get autopilot engaged. Flip that around. We'll go autopilot, heading, and flight level change. We'll set that to 240.
Colorado Springs traffic, TBM 341 Sierra Whiskey, taking runway 17 right for
set the heading to
northwestbound departure, and after takeoff we'll be making a left 180. Colorado Springs traffic.
So heading 360. And oh, by the way, we can get the engines from takeoff to climb mode, which I should have done when I got the flaps in. Get down to the FMC. We know about the discontinuity, that's fine. We're going to vector ourselves directly to DVV from here. We'll execute and go into nav mode. Now we can zoom out just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Gears up, flaps up, confirmed. Autopilot's in the correct modes. We're through 10. We can get the landing and logo lights off.
Altitude.
Get the taxi lights off as well. Coming up on 16. We're about to level off. We'll go ahead and get the seatbelt lights off too. Why not? Alright, 16. We'll go ahead and run it up to 300 knots. And we can actually start messing with the fuel balance too. So we've only got 14 extra pounds on the left side. It's not enough to worry about, but I'll worry about it anyway.
It's finger licking good.
Good Fixins is here just in time to catch me on the fuel balance issue. He knew what I was going to say before I said it. Alright, let's pull some engines down here. And we'll let it settle in right around 300 knots. Again, there's no auto throttle here. We can't just set 300 knots. That 240 in the climb is achieved by pitch. But now that we're level, we've got no way to automatically regulate the speed other than just manually move the throttle. So we'll see what throttle gets us right around 300 knots. We'll check on that fuel balance before I screw it up. Yeah, that was perfect.
Colorado Springs traffic, Kodiak 341 Sierra Whiskey, clear runway 17 right. Making a left 180 for northwestbound departure. Colorado Springs traffic.
Alright, there's 300. Oh my goodness! I forgot. Well, all right. Well, we'll have to do. Completely forgot to mess around with that toolbar pushback thing, guys. But where's my head? We'll mess around with it when we get to Eagles County. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We did get airborne like right at 7:40 Eastern though, which is right in line with my spreadsheet time, so that's good, at least. Edging the throttles back a little bit more, just because we're kind of flirting with the red line there. 305 is fine, but I just aim for 300 because it's a nice round figure. Gives us a few knots leeway just in case of turbulent air. So did the fuel balance work out okay, indeed? 2298, yeah, we're... Yeah, within a pound of each other, that's fine. Alright, I'm not going to press my luck. No whammies, no whammies. Ori Darkwind asked earlier about the Squawk 2200. Yeah, Ori, that is definitely a VATSIMism. If you're IFR in the United States, you will have air traffic control to assign you a Squawk. It is a VATSIMism because you occasionally fly IFR where there is no air traffic control staffed. Obviously, you won't have the case in the real world where Denver Center is not online, or in this case, Colorado Springs air traffic control cab staff, ground or tower, would have assigned you a Squawk. So yeah, the 2200 thing just comes in because you don't want to be squawking a VFR code in case Denver Center does pop on and they see that we're squawking VFR, they probably won't talk to us. But we're IFR, so the old pilot clients used to automatically bump you off of 1200 onto 2200 just as a means of not having you show up as a VFR target if you had filed IFR. I don't think the current pilot clients manually or automatically bump you from VFR codes if you're filed IFR, so It's kind of on you to remember not to squawk 1200 if you're IFR. But it just helps the center controller that's just coming online figure out which targets they need to talk to and which targets they don't.
These clouds look really cool once you get above them here in live weather.
Yeah, are you flying with live weather?
Yeah,
I got a nice
it's not
dual
that thick
layer
of a layer
here.
of clouds.
Yeah, I got a nice dual layer here that I'm right between, which is kind of neat too in its own right. So. Since it is such a fairly short flight, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and start briefing that LDA into Eagle here. We don't need the airport diagram there anymore. We don't need the Spring 6. Have you tried the G36 improvement project for MSFS? I have not. Spring 6 departure we don't need. Okay, so here's the LDA to runway 25, and remember it's not considered an ILS. I think it does have a local and a glide slope, but it's not considered an ILS because it is offset from the runway direction. By how far, by the way? Or it might be, actually might not be, but this one might be too steep. Too steep a descent to be considered an ILS. What's the course is 250? What's runway heading there? 253 almost? I don't remember what the threshold is, but it might be just because it's too steep a descent to be considered an ILS. Yeah, the glide slope is 3.8, which normal is 3.0. So that may be why. Real world instrument pilot probably has to know that stuff. I'm just a sim pilot. I just do what the chart says. I don't know any better. Alright, but anyway. Very first thing we want to do is check and make sure all the points are in. Again, we are going to presume on our own that once we arrive at Kremmling, we are going to be cleared for the LDA. We would have to get a controller to tell us that, but in our case, we will assume that that has happened. So again, when we get to the Kremmling, we're going to make sure that it connects with Quandary. There may be a discontinuity there, but once we are cleared on the approach, we can go ahead and connect those. Make sure that these are all in here. Quandary, and then VATSIM, and then Aquila, and then Weehawk, and then Eagle, and then Sipku, and we'll make sure that all of these altitudes are indeed listed in there as they should be. So we'll come down into the... Yeah, so Kremmling, and then Quandary. We'll go ahead and connect those. Because again, we've just told ourselves after Kremmling we're cleared for the LDA 25 into Eagle County. So Quandary at 14. Now at the bottom of the chart, that's not listed there, but up here, Quandary, Kremmling to Quandary, and then after Quandary, actually, we can go to VATSIM at 13.8. So Quandary at 14. VATSIM 13.8, and then we get to the ones that are on the final approach course. Whoops, I was trying to zoom. I was trying to scroll the chart on my second page here. So 12.9 at Aquila, 12.2 at Weehawk, 10.4 at Eagle, 9,800 at Washi, and then there's your final approach fix. Sipku 7,400. And then runway 25 at 6550. If we do need to go mist, direct to snow, and then a climbing right turn to 14.6 on snow. So 14.6 is the mist approach altitude. Direct snow. Oh, wait a minute. Snow, and then 14.6 on snow, 001 to Jesse. Okay, so that is indeed correct. Snow, and then Jesse at 14.6. So it's straight out, I think is what it is at first, right? Yeah, straight out to snow and then northbound. So all that is in there correctly. Okay, the plane is turning to the Victor 8 airway. So that's good. We'll go ahead to the, again, this does not follow the airplane in north up mode. I like north up mode, so I manually step forward. That'll work. Alright, so all the points are in there, including the mist. So let's go ahead and do our approach performance. That's down here in the FMC. We'll go under performance and approach. The outside air temp, we don't know what is going to be simulated. I'm going to assume it's going to be something close to 14. You know, you get that off of the METAR or the ATIS information as to what the temperature at the airport is and put that in there. But since we're not using a real-world set today, we'll just assume it's going to be consistent with what was simulated at our origin. Of course, it's a little higher in elevation, so it might be more like 12. But that's okay. That's close enough. All that stuff is fine. We'll hit next. VRS going to be 113. The approach going to be 120. We'll go ahead and send those over to the primary flight display. Back to the legs page. Frequency and course should automatically populate, but we will double check. 109.75 and 250. We will see that pop in down here. The 109.75 at least will pop in down there. We'll double check when it gets there that it's correct. Minimums. Again, we said these are the higher minimums of the two approaches. It is 83.30 in terms of barometric altitude. So that's what we'll set. Refs. Baro, we're going to run it up a little ways. Fortunately, once you get that knob spinning fast, it does come up kind of quickly. Get the toolbar out of the way. What we say, 83.30? Okay.
Centennial traffic, Water 75, Romeo Whiskey, Aspen from the northern GA to Romeo 3 right.
83.30 is set. What else we gotta do, guys? Cruising pretty close to 300 there, so that's good. Alright, and we talked about the mist being 14.6, I think. And a right turn after we get to the snow VOR, right turn northbound. If we land successfully, on the other hand, it is a left-hand turn off. And terminal here and then the FBO. So doesn't matter where we turn off. Would hope that we would hit the touchdown zone somewhere in here and maybe make it off Alpha 4, Alpha 5 if we go long. But regardless, left-hand turn off, and then really kind of up a beam Alpha 3 is where we'll turn in and park. So again, let's double check, make sure we got all the approach briefing done there. Leg set, missed approach leg set. Approach, VREF speeds 113 and 120. The frequency and course noted, 109.75, 250. Minimums are set. The forecast winds, we're going to say, are calm and no crosswind to contend with. The ceiling, we don't know what the scattered clouds are going to give us there, so we'll have, that's a question mark. We'll be prepared to go down to the minimums of 83.30 if we have to. Missed approach altitudes 14.6 on a straight out mist, and then a right turn northbound after the VOR, and a left hand turn off if we do go down or get down successfully. All right, so I think we are set. Our approach briefing is complete. Complete as it's going to be, given the fact that we have some weather question marks.
Downward traffic, southwest, 1165. Approaching runway 16 right, 14 DME.
All right, so far so good, guys. How are we doing? How's our engine health? I got the left-hand side just a little bit higher than the right. Let's see if we can bump it down. Yeah, so we are burning just a little bit more fuel in the left than the right, just because the engines aren't exactly matched. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to having two separate throttles for these. So that's kind of a new thing I get to check along the way. Temps and pressures all looking good. Engine performance all looking good. We are in negative static air temperature, but we're well above 10 degrees ram air temperature, so don't have to worry too much about icing right now, but we do have engine and wing anti-icing if we were to need it there. Guys, since we have just a moment before we get to that Kremmling VOR, we'll talk about the channel. Welcome to it, by the way. If you're new, we do appreciate you being here. We do mostly general aviation flying on this stream. And tonight is a bit of a departure from the normal theme of the channel, which we mostly focus on radio-based navigation methods rather than the flight management computers or the GPSs, which both of which we have in this aircraft. But this is just a fun aircraft to fly, and we enjoy kind of breaking the channel mold just a little bit to get a chance to fly this beautiful little vintage biz jet for you. Most of the time, though, we're tracking VOR radials or NDB beacons and bearings and that sort of thing. We do the analog ILS approaches for the most part. We don't typically do a whole lot with the FMC on this channel, but again, just a little bit of a break from that for you tonight. Mondays and Wednesdays is the normal show schedule, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. It was a 3-a-week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We've suspended the Friday shows for just a couple of months just because of some personal stuff going on. My wife and I getting ready to move about 3 hours south and east of here, so we're getting ready to pack up the house, and the weekends are mostly spent getting ready for that endeavor. So we'll have a brand new studio for you in April, and then hopefully getting back to that 3-a-week schedule in May. Fingers crossed if all goes well. But Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then the occasional Friday, or when we get back to that normal show schedule, Fridays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time as well. 2 ongoing raffles that occur on this live stream. One you enter by virtue of the Twitch channel points down there at the bottom of the chat panel, the alphabets points as we call them here. If you're saving up those, ST just put in a raffle ticket for 5,000 points. We were just about to tell you, 5,000 gets you 6 entries into that monthly raffle. If you cash them in 1,000 at a time, that's 1 entry at a time. So 1 for 1 or 6 for 5, and so it's to your advantage to save up to that 5,000 threshold if you can. The next drawing, we do it toward the end of every month. The next one's going to be on Wednesday, March the 30th. We'll do an air traffic control stream for you that night. We'll fire up the tower cab somewhere within the Washington Air TCC on VATSIM and do some ATC for you. Pick our raffle winners. But yeah, that's raffle number 1, the Alphabets Points raffle, 1,000 Alphabets Points for 1 entry, 5,000 for 6 entries, and again, save up to that 5,000 threshold if you'd like to, but feel free to cash them in 1,000 at a time if for whatever reason you'd like to do that. Bamsler has just done it as well. There we go. We'll take care of those in just a few moments. Can make sure you guys get those. Always, by the way, if you put those in and I don't react to them right away, don't worry, because it won't let me deduct the points until I let Twitch know that I have actually taken the action, so you never have to worry that I'm going to forget you. Twitch won't let me do that to you. Raffle number 2 is our landing rate raffle. At every landing that we perform on this channel, we will solicit your predictions as to a vertical descent rate upon touchdown. And we don't need those predictions just yet, but we'll let you know. Basically, once we're established on the approach, we'll get those predictions from you, so it won't be too long from now. We've got 3 landings to perform for you tonight. The closest predictor, either above or below, is automatically entered into our landing rate raffle. And again, That is also drawn on March the 30th, or toward the end of each month, March the 30th in this case. And there you go. So that's how you get the entries into that. So both of those raffle winners get pulled on March the 30th. Each of the winners gets their choice of any one item on the Slant Alpha Prize Vault list, which includes all of this various Slant Alpha merchandise. But if you don't want any of my crap, it's okay with me if you choose instead a $25 Amazon card or a $25 xplane.org store card. Either of those saves me a trip to the post office, even though I do shed a slight little bit of tear that you don't want my merchandise. But it's okay. It's a valid trade-off. We appreciate it. Either way, whatever prize you want is fine, and it is the generous continued support of the stream by all of our subscribers and donators and cheerers and merchandise purchasers that keep those raffles going. All the subscribers, by the way, you can recognize them by the appearance of that coin icon next to their name. In some cases, it's an eighth of a coin or a quarter of a coin, or the 3/8 or the half or the 3/4 of the full coin. The full coin subscribers have been subscribers of the channel for at least a year. We truly appreciate all of your support of the channel, guys. As we always say, this is just for fun. I don't do this for a living or even as a side income. This is really just for the love of the hobby, and the fact that you guys enjoy the ride is icing on the cake, and the fact that you guys continue to support the stream financially is just our opportunity to give as much of that support back to you as we can in the form of those raffles. We are coming up on that VOR, and because our field elevation is 6,500 feet, and that approach really kind of starts at 16,000, I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger briefing here. We can zoom this in a notch, I think. Or, yeah, in would be this way. Zoom that in, and the top of the sentence right there at the VOR. So we're just going to go ahead and do the landing briefing and start prepping for that arrival, even though, you know, we're not really, we haven't really started descending at all yet. Oops, that's the takeoff briefing. Let's do the landing one. There we go. We got Shrek the Flying Taco with a nice paragraph there. I'm going to talk to you about that message in just a moment. Now, you were asking about joining VATSIM. I didn't see the entire message. I got to get the plane ready to land it, but we... Yeah, really should get the seatbelt lights on first and then do that. And Shrek the Flying Taco with a follow also. I'm going to be real busy on this approach, Shrek, but talking about joining VATSIM, yes, on our YouTube channel, bottom of the bottom of the channel, left side of the screen there. There is a YouTube channel, and there's a playlist on there called VATSIM Tutorials. Check that out. I think it'll have a lot of good resources for you. Including a tutorial that talks about the basics of talking to controllers. So do check that resource out. Hope that you'll fly with us here for the rest of the stream. But anytime after that, hope that you'll check that resource out, and hope that you find some good use out of it there. Funless says there's an Android app called ARSIM for ATC practice calls as well. Great. Well, that's awesome. I've never heard of that one, but yeah, we missed getting the plane into VNAV. So now we're going to try and catch up the descent here.
VNAV, wish I had that.
Yeah, well, I do, but I certainly kind of blew right through it here. So we get the plane into full idle. Might need to get some spoilers out. Okay, there we go. No, so vertical speed off and VNAV on.
Actually, this plane does have VNAV. Might be useful.
Alright, I may have missed the opportunity here to use that VNAV. Let's put it into altitude hold for now. And then let's get it back into VNAV. Okay, I think we'll catch it. I think we'll catch it as it comes down now. Put some power back in. Alright, now as we are basically getting established on the descent, guys, we'll go ahead and get your predictions for the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch. No bot command is used on this channel. You can just put a number into the chat, positive or negative, and we will know that you mean a descent rate either way. And we're going to go ahead and keep the speed coming down to about 210 since we're just about to intercept final here. We'll know that you mean a descent rate either way. And we're just coming up on that 17-mile final. Go ahead and get it into approach mode as well. I'll pull the speed to 170. Yeah, we're going to take it out of VNAV, vertical speed mode, and we'll get it, yeah, the VNAV is kind of, I've kind of messed up the vertical nav all the way here. At wheel hog, we should be at 12.2, so we're a little high. We'll go ahead and get the first notch of flaps in. Descending on a glide slope, we can actually get the gear down too, that'll help us. Try and keep 170 until inside of Washi. Alright, so where are we? Coming up on Eagle. We're about a 10-mile final. Eagle County traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor, 10-mile final, runway 25, Eagle. Yeah, we see it. At this point, we would presumably be handed over to the tower. We get our landing clearance. Double check here and make sure that there is no tower online. Okay, there's not. We'll go ahead and assume we would have been cleared to land. Once we're inside Washi, we'll go ahead and chop it down to a 120, which is our V approach speed, and then 113 is our VREF speed. Go ahead and make it my airplane as well.
Autopilot.
Go ahead and level it out. get a little bit of extra speed off once we get below 160 with the second notch of flaps out. We'll do our landing checks. There we are. Add some power back in to counteract that extra drag, but we do want to keep slowing the plane to 120. Gears down and green, flaps 35 set and checked. The missed approach altitude 14.6, we'll go ahead and set that. Again, that's straight ahead to the snow VOR and then a northbound turn if we go missed. And it is a left-hand turn off back to the ramp if we do make it down successfully. Landing checks are complete. Let's go ahead and get it down to 120, set it on the ground. What do you think, guys? Last call for the landing rate predictions, guys. All right, there's 120. We'll keep it.
Minimums.
We are continuing. We do have the runway in sight. I'm getting a little slow. Shouldn't be down at 113 just yet. Should still be cooking about 120 down until we're short final. And now we can start bringing it back nice and gently onto 113 for our VREF speed. There's your last call. We are continuing, by the way. There's your last call for the landing rate predictions. 113 is our target speed. Power out over the threshold. And put in just a very, very gentle flare in it. There we are. We're down. Spoilers. Get the, view up. I can't try to do that with the thumb switch. Can't do it. I was pretty happy with that, guys. Kept it right on the numbers pretty much all the way down, so not too bad. We will take it. See where we got off here. I'm not sure whether the taxiways are correctly labeled on this airport either. Go ahead and get clear. We'll call clear once we are over the hold short. Eagle County, citation 514 out to make clear of 25 Eagle County. Flaps and spoilers can go stowed. Pitot heat can come off. Landing lights can come off. Strobe lights can come off. Talk about the winning number here in just a moment. I was happy with it. Get the weather radar off there. We get the terrain radar off there. Hopefully get a chance to see our friend ST and his landing. We'll check our fuel and ETAs. Fuel and time estimates here in just a moment. Let's see, where are we taxiing into? So I don't think the labels are correct, but we can kind of see if this is the first one that comes off of the left-hand side, then that's going to be Alpha 4 Bravo 4 there. So I think that means we go one more. And I think it means we'll go one more and then we'll make the right, and that should put us past the bigger building, which would be the terminal. Yeah, man, we need to get ourselves an airport enhancer for this place. Look at a little plane here. And I don't mean plane in an aircraft kind of way. People says you should be happy with it. It was butter. Yeah, it was pretty nice. Pretty nice. I mean, butter's not the best, determiner of a good versus a bad landing, but hey, I was on the numbers as far as the speeds, configured properly, glide slope and alignment look good. I mean, I think there's nothing to be sad about in that landing. That was one of my better ones. There, yes, someone did a great job updating Eagle on flightsim.ti. I wonder who that someone is. I'm going to pull straight up to the building here, guys, because I do want to remember to play around with that pushback, Toolbar Pushback app. So I think if we nose into the building here, that'll kind of be our clue that we're going to need to be pushed back out of that space. So that way I won't forget. Meant to do that on the ground at Colorado Springs and completely forgot, but now I think if we got our nose right into the turn the taxi light off here, right into the building here, then I think we have a better chance of remembering. We're going to get the parking brake on. Excuse me, guys. Let me get a few things done on the aircraft, and then we'll go over the winning numbers for the landing rate prediction. Flaps and spoilers, strobe lights, taxi light, pitot static, terrain, and weather. Taxi light off, parking brake on. We can go ahead and get the engine number 1 stopped. We're going to leave the engine number 2 on as our APU, but we'll go ahead and shut that down. We can reset the refs, and we'll reset the warnings as well. We know there's no oil pressure in number 1. That's normal when you turn it off. Minimum's reset. There we go. What else, guys? Safety and seatbelt lights can come off, as you guys can now make your way into the little passenger's room and then back into the aircraft before we check lope tuning. Well, it didn't, did it? We went into approach mode, but we did not see the LDA for frequency for 2.5, so I should have probably jumped down and seen that warning and did it manually. As it was, we had visual of the runway, so we kind of didn't worry about it. Anyway, so yeah, okay, we can set the squawk back to 1200. There, and go back to standby. Check on our fuel and ETA. Alright, so we got off right when I had it in my spreadsheet, so we'll see how we did here with the fuel and ETA. We had predicted we would be on the ground at 31 after the hour and on the blocks at 36 after the hour. How'd we do? Oh, a little early. Okay. And then 3,800 pounds left in the tank. So I'm going to say, since we got in about 10, maybe 8 minutes early, 12 minutes early, I'm going to say we probably have close to 4,000 left. I'm going to say we're going to have 2,000 per tank. Let's see what it says. Yeah, just about. Just about. Okay, so that's pretty good, though. We do have a few of those raffle tickets to give you from the Alphabets raffle. And then we'll talk about the winning landing rate number as well. STW, Bamsler, and not JK. So let's get those taken care of first. Go. That should be everybody. Iowa Scotsman checked in earlier with the panting furry co-pilot, the animated and Animated and panting furry co-pilot. So Iowa Scotsman checked in. Good to see you here. Who else? Anybody else pop in that I didn't see? People, we said hi to you earlier. Good, I think we got everybody. Let's talk about our winning numbers, guys. The winning number, entry into our landing rate raffle is going to be the person who guessed the closest to 84 feet per minute. 84. Oh, by the way, I guess, did we miss STW? I'm yammering on. Whoops. Yammering on.
I'm still on the approach.
Still on the approach? Alright, cool. Let's see. Oh, I see him.
Eagle County traffic, TBM 3410 Whiskey on final runway 25.
It is a really
Eagle
long
County
final.
traffic.
That's for sure. 84 was the winning number. Let's go back to the predictions and see how we did. 120, 152, 110, 115, 148. So it looks like whoever was the lowest is going to have it. Is that Automator? Do I have that right? Automator with the 110. Shout at me if I'm missing you guys, but I think it's Automator with the 110. So, yeah, give me a yell. But I think that's going to be our winner here at Eagle, EGE, on 3-7. Woohoo! Automator, TER. All right, there we go, guys. Congrats to Automator. And thanks for those who entered the Alphabets raffle. And we still see TBM on final.
Yeah, like you said, it's a long final. And I'm not a jet, so I'm not going 300 knots.
Right. Yeah, it's a nice long approach. Plenty of time to get stable, though. There's really no excuse.
I mean, I tried to use the localizer, and it seems like the localizer's off compared to...
Yeah, it is offset by
where the
about 3
waypoints
degrees. Yep, that's correct. That's for the terrain there.
No, I mean, like, I was following the waypoints, and then I tried to use the localizer, and it took me way off to the right, and I'm like, nope, I went back to nav mode, followed the waypoints.
Oh, well, the waypoints aren't on the localizer? Well, that's a different issue. Yeah. So the localizer is supposed to be offset by 3 degrees. That's the way it's...
Yeah,
at least
the
it's
waypoints are
designed to
too.
be. Yeah, so it does put you on a really, minor centerline adjustment just over the threshold, but still watching for you here if I can see you up. Yep, there you are. Oh, you're a little
Definitely
high on
gonna need
final,
to change
looks
my
like.
sim time after this, because it's, like, nighttime right now. and there's lots of clouds up above.
Alright, well, you're making the rest of your way in, guys. STW is making the rest of his way in. I'm going to go ahead and start getting ready for my leg number 2. So we'll take it from the top here. But we'll leave the screen where it is. Most of what I do at first is to refile our second leg flight plan, which I'll do off screen so that we can watch STW make his landing. But we're IFR from EGE, and then I'll show you the route here. In
Yeah, I'm less than 60 seconds from touchdown here.
EGE to ASE. Alternate is Rifle, RIL, and we'll leave that as it is. The departure time I had put in quarter after, is it? Oh, wow. Yeah, we don't need that long. I'm going to say we're going to be airborne by 8:50 Eastern. So what's that? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 0150. Time en route, we're going to call it 026. Fuel remaining, we're going to call it 312. Cruise speed still 3 1/4. 16,000 again. There is you can actually hear him too, which is neat. Look pretty nice. More or less on the aiming point. minor center line drifting, but not too bad. Probably no worse than mine. I think you're probably going to get off.
That was just the transition to reverser there.
Yeah. Probably going to get off the same... well, no, we wound
Did you go left or right?
Left. Yeah, right's all Air National Guard. I think we wound up rolling it one longer than you did. But, yeah, nicely done, sir. Anyway, so let's bring the flight plan over here. Rifle, by the way, is our alternate for all three of these tonight. It's just to the west of where we are. And then the last thing I think we need to fill in is the route, which I'm going to copy and paste in, but then we'll copy and paste it into SkyVector as well so you guys can see what it looks like. So that is filed. And it is still the case that we don't have any VATSIM air traffic control online with us tonight, which is fine, not a big deal. Let's go ahead and blank this out, and... Oops. Did I lose you? Lost VATSIM for a second there. I'm not sure if I've lost stream. Stream still seems to be running. That's okay. We'll reconnect the VATSIM here in a moment. Okay, where are we going? ASE? No, it disconnected and then reconnected immediately, so we're still good. I was going to say, well, how can we be disconnected if we're still hearing a EBM? But he's still there. Alright, so here is route number 2, and this is again, design. We talked about this for flight number 1, how we're kind of taking less than a direct path, and the reason for that is that we just don't have a lot of leeway with the terrain on these instrument departures. So let's go. We took the Gypsum 6, that is this one here, and then back to Kremmling, Victor 328 Dobie, Victor 356 Red Table, and then from Red Table it's going to be into Aspen, either the Loc DME or the RNAV, into Aspen, Pitkin County. So let's see, we got the Gypsum, then got the 2 approaches, and then the airport diagram. And then there's the airport diagram that we are at. Hailsimber's asking about the server. We are always on the VATSIM network. When we're on the VATSIM network, it doesn't matter which VATSIM server we're on. We all end up in the same virtual world. I believe that from a multiplayer Microsoft Flight Sim standpoint, I'm on the USA East. But I have all that stuff turned off, so I think if you get on the USA East, you might see me, but I won't see you. But we're on the VATSIM network, and that means that whatever VATSIM server you connect to, you will see everybody that's connected to VATSIM regardless of server. So I probably should put a command in there because a lot of people ask that. ST is going to take a break, might skip a hop. Greased it on there. Anyway, so the Gypsum 6 comes out. We're gonna take off westbound again, I guess. Should we? Guess we should see what the weather is, because we could take off eastbound or westbound here, depending on what the wind conditions are. I guess we should check. METAR, KEGE-KASE-KTEX, 30.06. So I think we're 30. I think we'll just take off westbound. So the westbound departure has us go to a left to a 219, and then right, kind of around the snow VOR to join this 322 radial off of Red Table to this point Kearley, and then from Kearley out to this point Kremmling. That's the hop where you could have me on ground, says Lava Cow. Well, hope so. Hope that we'll get to talk to you. Alright, so the Gypsum comes out to this point Kremmling. Now the reason we're going all the way out to Kremmling and then south is because we need to set up for Aspen County, we need to set up off of Red Table VOR. Okay? So here's Red Table. If we take the Loc DME, we're coming off of Red Table. So either way, we're coming off of Red Table VOR. However, if you come back to SkyVector, you'll notice that these departures off of Eagle all kind of go north, and then we would have to go north, and then we'd have to do like some sort of crazy 180 Or like even if we end up here at Kremmling, we'd have to do this insanely difficult, we kind of end up this way and then out to Kremmling, and then we'd have to do this, essentially this almost U-turn to come down to Victor 421. So instead of having like that crazy sharp U-turn that we're surely going to overshoot, I shot us down to this point Dobie and then in this way. That way, so we're making more reasonable turns here rather than trying to reverse course at some point. And that way we can come into Red Table and again have kind of a reasonable turn there instead of suddenly having to do some sort of radical maneuver to get down to establish ourselves on the approach. So again, it's kind of out of our way, but because of the terrain in this area, out of the way is helping us out because it's allowing us to kind of get stabilized on these courses rather than having to make these crazy sharp turns. So that's the plan, and that's why we filed it the way we did. All right. What's the next step, guys? Let's take it back from the top. And, where are we? Back to my flight planner. Alright, so we have filed our flight plan. We did check the METAR. COM1 frequency is still going to be 122.8 because we're still on the VATSIM Unicom frequency. We can go ahead and get back into the aircraft. Oh, I know what we need to do, guys. Yeah, let's make sure we don't forget to check out that Toolbar Pushback app here in just a bit. COM1 frequency set, no clearance to obtain since we do not have air traffic control on to obtain it with. We can go to a flight plan. As soon as we enter a new origin, it'll blank out the rest. KEGE is where we are. We are going to KASE is where we're going. It is a 25-mile direct flight, but we're going to take a little bit of a further path. Let's go to the departures and arrivals. It is going to be the Gypsum 6. There is no transition because the Gypsum 6 always goes out to that point, Kremmling. We are going to depart off of runway 25, same runway we arrived off of. Execute that. We'll go ahead and get back to the flight plan page. So Gypsum 6 always goes to Kremmling. We'll go next. And the next path then is a Victor 328 to Dobie. Or really just direct Dobie would probably work too, but we'll just enter it properly. Victor 328 there to Dobie DO. Is it 1B? Yeah, 1B 2Es. And then it's Victor 356 westbound to Red Table, which is DBL. And which one do we want? North 39, West 106. Yep, that's... And K tells us that's in the U.S. because the prefix for all U.S. airports is K. This is north and east, so that's going to be halfway around the world from us, and then somewhere in the Z, which is, I believe, Asia. Asia, Russia, somewhere over there. So we're going to be definitely using this one. Normally they sort them so where the first one is the closest one to you anyway, so that kind of makes it easy, but it's always good to double check that the rest of these facts all line up indeed. So north and west and K region, that is indeed the one we want. From there, I think we talked about the LOC DME, which we need to be able to navigate off of 2 receivers. And since we are most likely going to be doing this in an RNAV aircraft, RNAV mode, I think we'll just do the RNAV GPS Foxtrot. Again, it's not an RNAV to 1.5, even though it does dump you off on the 1.5, but because of A, the offset nature of the approach course, and B, this very, very steep approach course, 6.49 degrees. That's twice as steep as a normal approach. So for those 2 reasons, they won't call it an approach to 1.5, even though it's It's not too badly aligned with it, but they won't call it that because it's of those two factors. But that's the approach that we will plan on. The RNAV will execute the route, by the way, and then for departures and arrivals, arrival will arrive to RNAV Foxtrot from red table and execute that. And we still have the check loc tuning warning, even though we've put in a new route. So that might just be, oh, you know what? It's still in approach mode. I think we can undo approach mode, undo nav mode, undo vertical speed mode, and then undo the flight director. That should clear that warning, but no, it's still there. Okay, so that might just be a bug that there are a few things that persist from one flight to the next that shouldn't, and that might just be one of them. Alright, let's go ahead and roll on through our checklist as we get ready to go here. Curry co-pilot saying hello, by the way. Let's go ahead and get to our performance page. Performance initialization, of course, let's just assume that since we didn't change it in this menu, we'll assume that the cabin cargo, passengers and cargo, did not change. It's going to know the new weight based on the new fuel load. We'll go ahead to our takeoff reference. It is 14 degrees, is indeed correct, so we'll just hit next. And again, this is a second thing that erroneously persists from one flight to the next, is that these are all showing in blue, even though they are recalculated for the second leg. White should indicate that they are not yet sent over to the primary flight display. Blue indicates that they are. But that's just, like I said, a little bit of a bug that persists from when you do multiple legs in one sitting. So now that we've sent and it says complete, then now they should be blue. And now they should also be appearing over here, which they do. Alright, let's go ahead and get the... okay, we already got the engine number 2 on. We know that we do have ATIS information that told us what the METAR was. We also know, though, that we're not simulating real-world conditions today. So 290902 is probably correct, but we can cross-check it with the charted field elevation, which is 6,547 feet, and we're pretty close to that on the altimeter, so that's good to go. We can go ahead and set our squawk, and again, we are going to use a fake IFR code of 2200. Really, anything that's not 1200 will work just fine there. We'll go ahead and put that into TARA mode. The nav display is already in plan mode, but we can check our route, and we'll just skip through it and just make sure that it does indeed resemble the one that we were looking at. And we can connect that because we're going to assume that after red table we're cleared for the approach. And we don't have a runway there because it's not specific to a runway. We should have actually selected. Let's see if we can do this. Departures and arrivals. Departures and arrivals. Arrival. Let's see if we can unselect the RNAV F. Yeah, okay, so we can either select the RNAV F or we can select the runway with the visual extension. So I guess we're going to have to just do the RNAV F. Which is the weird thing, is it won't do our landing performance since we haven't selected a runway. So I guess we're just going to have to be stuck without that. Anyway, in the flight plan, in the legs page, we can undo the discontinuity after HEPEB and execute, because we know that once we get to red table, we're going to clear ourselves for the LDA to, the RNAV GPS F Foxtrot. So we'll know we're cleared to start the approach. And we know that the rest of that looks good, so we'll put that back to where we are starting. And we've got a resub from Panagon. Panagon, thank you so much for that 7-month resub. Thank you. All right, let's go back to the 2 waypoint. We'll step it ahead just a couple here. And there's Kearley. Okay, that's good. And I think we're... we got animated and audio enhanced emotes now on the channel. Look at that. How fancy are we? Steve Lowe with the follow as well. Steve, thank you very much. Hope that you're enjoying it. And just moments away from finally remembering to check out this this toolbar pushback enhancement here. So we'll check that out here in just a moment. What did I do with my checklist? It went away. Okay, so the flight plan's been checked in the FMC. It looks like we expect it to look. The initial altitude here, I think, is 16. If we just go the gypsum 6, does it even say? To Kearley and then Kremmling. It does not say, but I think that once we get to Kremmling and we're going south and eastbound, yeah, that's 16.5 there. And then westbound is 15.2. I think 16. We're 14,000 to here. 591. We're in Victor 328. Yeah, I think 16 is okay. I don't think we need to be 16.5 until we're past Dobie. Matter of fact, we can check on the VFR chart. And we can see that the terrain only goes to 13.6 to 14,000. So yeah, 16,000 should be fine here. This is another drawback of not having a controller. A controller would issue us an initial altitude that would be consistent with our route. So we're kind of doing a little bit of guesswork here by saying 16, but I think we're good there. All right, and the departure does say not runway heading in this case, right? 219, and then join this 322. So we'll have to set that 219. We're going to make a pretty, like a 30-degree left turn right off the runway. So 219 is the initial heading. Again, it's not always runway heading. You can't just assume that. You have to look and see what your departure says to do. So 219 off the runway in this case. And of course, in this case, that has to do with very high terrain in this area. But even in other places where there's not high terrain, there might be noise abatement or there might be traffic flow issues, reasons where you would not be able to go straight off of the runway. Always want to look at the departure that you filed, Gypsum 6 in this case. Look at the chart, see what it says to do, and make sure the plane is set up to do that. Dorkwing with the subscription. Thank you very much, Dorkwing. We appreciate you checking in tonight. Hope that you're enjoying. All right, I think we're getting ready to go. Let's get the safety and belts on. We're going to go ahead and get that second second engine fired up. We'll get the climate control off while we do that. And we'll get that number 1 fired up. Whoops. There it is. We will monitor the start. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So the ignition automatically engages at 12%. Warnings are going out. As soon as the starter warning goes out, we should get our status page back. This should stabilize about 53. This should stabilize about 24. Temperatures are not running out of control. Once we get that panel back, we know all is well. We can go ahead and get the climate control back on for you guys. Flight controls would be checked again. We can do a full left aileron, full right aileron and center, full forward elevator and center, full back elevator and center. And of course, obviously, we can't see the yoke, so for Krempo, I say hello. Now, I can't see the yokes moving, but really we're checking the outside control surfaces, and then rudder full right, rudder full left, centered in between, and now all is well. Go ahead and set our flaps to 15 for departure. We'll get the trim in the very bottom of that green range there, so we'll bump that forward just a little bit. So right there, that's good. I think we're well. I'm going to go ahead and start the passenger briefing here. And again, this is another slight bug that persists from first to second flight. The second time through, you have to hit these twice.
May I have your attention,
Yeah, there we go.
Welcome aboard
All
the
right.
Citation CJ4 aircraft.
We know the taxi routing is going to be out to 25, which is pretty straightforward. Let's see if we can get pushed back here, guys.
Please refer to the passenger
Let's push back.
near your seat for
Let's
important
pre-plan.
safety-related information. Smoking is
We want to
prohibited
push
aboard this aircraft while
back
no smoking
and
lights are
this
emitted,
way.
and prohibited in the lavatory at all times.
Okay.
Aviation regulations require
So that-
passenger
that
compliance
should be
with
it.
lighted no smoking and seatbelt signs, placards,
Parking
as
brake.
well as flight crew instructions. For
How do we know? How do we tell it that we are done pre-planning?
Traffic eject jet 449, 2 miles outside Red Table inbound, Aspen.
How do we tell it we're done pre-planning? Okay. Parking brake can come unset.
Seats must be in the upright and outboard position.
Uh,
Your headrest extended per instructions located near your seat. To fasten
I don't
your
want
lap
manual
belt,
pushback.
Place the flat metal end into the buckle. Pull on the lap belt
Parking
strap
brake is
to tighten
on.
the lap belt.
No, parking brake is off.
To
Okay,
fasten
that's
the
good.
shoulder harness,
So
pull
how do
the
we
shoulder
start? How do we
harness
start the
strap
pushback?
across and in front of you, and put
Button
the
at the
metal
top.
end onto the stud located
That says
on your
manual
lap
pushback?
belt. To
Pre-plan.
release your lap belt,
I already did that.
press the latch release on the
Oh, well, then I
top
don't
portion
know
of the
then.
buckle. To release the shoulder
Yeah, I already
harness,
told it where I wanted to go.
uplift the
Now how do I
metal
start it?
from the stud. Because of the possibility of unexpected turbulence, please keep your lap belt securely fastened about you
Well,
at
I'll
all
just say-
times while in your seat. In the
All
event
right.
of cabin depressurization, oxygen masks will automatically drop from overhead compartment. Locate the nearest mask, pull the mask down to the full length of the tubing.
Okay, I've
and place it
pre-planned
over
the
your nose
pushback.
and
Now
mouth.
how do I tell it to start the plan?
Adjust masks by pulling the elastic straps and breathe normally. Don your mask prior to assisting others with their masks.
Is your parking brake on?
An emergency
I already did
exit
that.
is located at the right side of the aft cabin.
I mean, I thought
To
parking
open the
brake being
emergency
yellow
exit,
there means it's on.
remove
Well,
the
it's on
plastic
now,
plate
yeah, but I mean, I
and
tried that
open the
already.
release handle. Turn the handle in the clockwise direction. Pull the top of the emergency exit inward, lifting the base out of the opening and into the cabin.
I mean, it does say public beta, maybe it's
Discard
not
the
working
emergency
correctly.
exit.
Yeah, exactly.
Exit cabin by
Okay,
stepping
so
through
I've
the
all right,
opening.
now that I've opened and closed that window
Continue
again,
forward.
now it says it wants to start it. Okay, so now I can release the parking brake. Let me release the parking brake.
To open the main entry door, first push in on the inner paddle located above the inner handle. Second, pull down on the inner handle.
I think it's still in manual mode.
approximately 90 degrees. Push the door open and lower the stairs to exit the aircraft. Life vest locations are placarded near your seat. To don the life vest,
Parking brake is
tear
off.
open the storage bag and remove the vest. Place the life vest over your head. Wrap the strap around your waist. Buckle and tighten the strap. For children, wrap the belt around a leg. Buckle and tighten the
Parking
strap.
brake is off.
Inflate the life vest after exiting the plane by pulling downward.
Well,
on
I
both
just hit the
red tabs.
reverse button, but I think that's now in
Life vest
manual
fails to
mode. I think
inflate.
that's
Blow into
just
the
gonna push me
manual
straight
ventilation
back.
tubes attached to the vest.
We'll see. We'll see what it does.
Location and use of fire extinguishers and to your passenger briefing
Yeah,
card
I think it's-
or consult your
Gotcha.
phone.
Yeah, the manual mode works. The pre-plan mode, I couldn't quite get to work. But that's okay. We'll figure it out for next
Did you know
time.
you can use your rudder pedals for the tug direction?
No, I didn't know that. Something about clicking the toolbar icon messes with it, says Maddie. Yeah, we'll figure it out for next time. That's all right. Hey, at least it's there, and at least in manual mode it works just fine. So we'll continue to play with that. But that's cool though. Happy to have that there, even if I don't 100% know how to use it. Anyway, so what do we else need to do? We got the Other engines started. We got some more fuel balance to fix on this leg, but that's all right. Do that in just a moment. Flaps, taxi routing, pitot and static can come on, and taxi light can come on, and parking brake can come off. And which taxiway are we using? Alpha. Eagle County traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor's going out to runway 25 via Alpha, Eagle County. Where the heck are we?
Aspen traffic, jet 449, final runway 15 Aspen.
And I had said we would be airborne by 8:50, and because of all that messing around, it's now going to be closer to 9 o'clock. But we'll keep that in mind for our arrival. That our ETA is going to be off by 10 minutes. Matter of fact, as we're rolling out here, I'll adjust it in my spreadsheet so that we remember that. So Hi-Fi was the one that said I had the same problem last night with it. Yeah, sorry, it's new. We're happy to have it, and I'm sure it'll get better as it goes. And then Maddie, of course, welcome back as well. All right, on the oh, by the way, brake check. Brakes are fine. Okay, good. Get the weather radar on and the terrain radar on here. What else on the taxi out, guys? Am I missing anything? Departure frequency is preset. Did we Flying Midgie with the follow. Midgie, how are you? Appreciate you stopping in. Flying the Citation CJ4, the working title mod of the Citation CJ4. Just about to depart Eagle County and head over to Aspen, hitting all of the iconic Colorado ski resorts tonight. We do have air traffic control on at Aspen, but nothing here at Eagle County or in between, so keep that in mind. Now we're joining Alpha. Flying Midgie says,
Evening
hope all is well this evening. Indeed. Thank you very much, and even more so because of the cheer bits. Thank you very kindly for that. Trying to work on an Aspen approach on for us this Lavacal, but they had a VRC issue. I think my brakes just got stuck. There we go. Now we're rolling. Alright, on our way out, we can engage Toga. Now that is, in this aircraft, not going to adjust the throttles for us. There's no auto throttle in this aircraft. But that does put the flight director on, pitch indication for takeoff, and start sequencing our points in our departure. Eagle County traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor, departing runway 25, IFR northbound Eagle County. At least we're initially northbound. Taking the runway, we'll go strobes on, landing lights on, taxi light on, off. Pitot heat is off. Nice to do a little visual check and make sure no one's on their way in, but we didn't hear anybody call in. Not that that's always a reliable indicator. And remember, it's a left turn to 219 immediately off the runway here. All right, lined up, temps and pressures all looking good. We'll go ahead and set our takeoff power. Throttles all the way forward smoothly to our takeoff setting. And away we go. 107, I believe, is our rotation speed. There it is. Or 103, actually, I think it was. Positive climb, gear can come up.
Don't sink.
Yeah, we still
Don't
get that.
sink.
Don't sync warning on the
Don't
second
sync.
departure. That's just a
Don't sync.
bug with the GPWS. Everything is
Don't
fine.
sync.
Pitch to 140.
Don't sync. Don't sync.
We'll
Don't
start
sync.
that left turn as directed
Don't
by
sync.
the departure procedure 220 or 219 rather. We were at 65, now we're at 75. Flaps can come in, engines can go from takeoff to climb. Roll out on that 219. Lower the nose, get the speed up to 240. As a matter of fact, we can go and get autopilot. Heading mode. Why is heading mode turning us right? Okay, there it goes. And then we'll go flight level change to 240. Alright, and then we'll flip the heading around to the right. Oops. On the gypsum, we should be joining that 322 out to Kearley. So let's go to the legs page and not put the, let's just activate, oh, never mind. Never mind, it activated that leg for us. And so we're about to intercept it. Make sure we are in nav mode. Nav mode, I said. Oh, okay, LNAV is armed. And we're still pitched to capture 240, and we're just about to get up to our cruise altitude of 16,000. In the meantime, we can check that gear did come up, flaps did come up. Landing lights can come off, logo lights can come
Altitude.
off. Got some fuel to rebalance. We'll throw some left to right into the fuel. As we leveled at 16, we can pull the throttles back to maintain 300 knots. So we'll leave them in takeoff mode, or climb mode.
Traffic, TBM 3410.
Leave them in climb mode until we get up to about 300 knots.
Runway 7. Eagle County traffic.
Did we get the seatbelt signs off as well? How are we doing on the fuel balance? We got a ways to go yet. We can start pulling the throttles down to capture that 300 knots. Now I wonder if, guys, we still got that check loc tuning. I wonder if it's still a residual from that initial approach that we did. I wonder if we go in and manually tune. Yeah, so it's just stuck there because of that first approach that we did. Oh well, no worries. All right, 16,000. We are there. And again, a very short flight. We got airborne, by the way, right at 9. I'll say almost 9 o'clock top of the hour, so I'm going to adjust that in my planning spreadsheet.
Eagle County traffic, TBM 3410 Whiskey. Taking runway 7 for a northbound
So we don't
departure.
need the gypsum.
Eagle County traffic.
And we're not going to do the loc, we're going to do the RNAV. So let's go ahead and brief that RNAV since that is what we're going to do. Let's double check first of all, how's our fuel balance doing? Oh, perfect. Uh-oh. Ah, we're stuck now. Up there we go. I was going to say that was about to be a really interesting flight. There we go. Alright, so that's close, and it's not going to stay perfect unless I keep the throttles perfectly matched, which I won't. But that's good enough for now. And let's go ahead and start briefing that arrival into Aspen. It's the RNAV Foxtrot. So let's go ahead through our approach briefing. Let's first of all check the points in our GPS. Make sure that they're all there. Again, it's red table, then HEPEB, then ALEX, and then MAFMU. And let's check the altitudes. So red table, HEPEB, ALEX, and then MAFMU. Missed approach, if we do need it, is out to Linz and then Greno at 14. No, it's not in there. Wonder if we can manually add it. Linz and then Greno, L-I-N-D-S, L-I-N. We're not supposed to technically. Not supposed to add it manually. L-I-N-D-Z. Not sure what I said. No, didn't put it in there. Oh well. Alright, so we're gonna have to manually fly that missed approach if we get to that point. And we're already turning from Kremmling to Dobie. No, it wasn't turning, but messing with the FMC got us knocked off of LNAV mode here. Alright, so we got some weirdness, guys. We got the missed approach, so there's not a proper importer. We're going to have to manually fly that missed approach if we end up needing it. We're also not going to be able to do runway performance. We'll have to estimate our V approach and VREF off of the angle of attack meter here, so we'll do that as well. We're going to start pulling the speed down. So there's no performance, no V speeds, no frequency and course. Minimums are going to be 10,200, 10,220 really for category Bravo. We know the winds are calm, ceiling is going to be whenever this is, since we're not simulating real world conditions. Missed approach, altitude's 14. We're going to have to manually fly that sharp right turn, and then if we do land successfully, what's the turn off? It is a, we land 1.5, it is a left-hand turn off if we get down there at Aspen. should we make it down? Oh, by the way, we do have ATIS running there. Information Bravo, winds calm. 3004, visual approach, landing 15. Information Bravo, and it's 21.9er if we do make it down to talk to ground. So we'll get that tuned in. 21.9 in the standby, so we're ready to flip over to it if we need it. Alright, VNAV is engaged. We'll lower the altitude to 10,000 since that's below our minimums. So that will allow the plane to capture that vertical path. That's probably what we didn't do last time. That will allow the plane to capture that vertical path once it comes. Oh, we're not at red table yet. Yeah, we can get back up to 300 now. What am I doing? As we're not yet starting that approach just yet, but we're close. Remember how we had questions as to whether 16,000 was high enough? What do you think? Tallest mountain's about 14.7 or 14.8. Yeah, that's assuming that we have the altimeter set properly and there's no other wild temperature variation affecting our altimeter reading. Yeah, so there's margin of error built in there on purpose. But yeah, you're correct. When the mountain goats start asking for a ride, you are too low, says people. Yes, indeed. When they see you and they stick their thumb out as you pass. I guess since we have just a quick moment, if you are new to the channel, just want to remind you of our two ongoing raffles that we have on this channel. The first of which is our Alphabets Points raffle. The Alphabets Points, Twitch channel points at the bottom of the chat panel there. If you save up for 1,000 of those, you can cash those in for an entry into our monthly raffle. Save up for 5,000, you get 6 entries for the price of 5. It's to your advantage to do that. You get that bonus entry. But we won't be doing that drawing again until March the 30th. We do it toward the end of every month, so March the 30th will be our next one, so you got some time to save up if you would like, but if you want to cash them in 1,000 at a time, that is also fine. Who is that waving at me? That's going to put a real dark font on my screen here. Maybe switch over to this other panel. Oh, that's Ingram. Welcome back. Welcome. Good to see you. So that's raffle number 1. Again, those Twitch channel points down at the bottom of the chat panel. 1,000 for 1 entry, 5,000 for 6 entries. The second raffle, we will get your predictions as we start getting established on the approach. We'll get your predictions as to the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch. And the closest predictor, by the way, don't start putting them in yet, but we'll let you know. The closest predictor, either above or below the actual descent rate, will get an automatic entry into our second monthly raffle, but also to be pulled on March the 30th. And the winner of both of those raffles on March the 30th gets their choice of any one of our Slant Alpha merchandise items, or if you prefer not to get any of my crap sent to you, it's okay if you choose instead a $25 Amazon or xplane.org store gift card instead, which we'll just shoot to you in the form of an email. How's it going? Says, how's the Working Title CJ4 mod update? It is perfect. I have not noticed any issues with it. We still have some of the usual weird bugs that persist from leg number 1 to leg number 2, but that's nothing new. Nothing new has manifested itself as far as any bugs. Everything else seems to be perfectly fine. So, yeah, we can. We are in LPV terminal mode, so that means we're coming up on top of the set, and we are selected down to capture the path. We can go ahead and enter approach mode as well. And I'm about to be really, really busy in the aircraft, guys, so I apologize if I'm going to fall behind in the chat, but as soon as we are descending, that will be your clue.
May I have your attention, please?
That'll be your clue that you can start putting in those predictions. As soon as you see the altitude start to dip, if you would like, you can start putting in those landing rate predictions. Last call is going to be at the 500 call, or when I say otherwise. What is the field elevation there? Field elevation 78. We're going to call, last call, going to call 8,500 mean sea level, guys. So throttle coming back. Guys can start putting those predictions in. Yeah, Ori, there was a update to the Working Title mod just after Sim Update came out, which was last week, and then just over the weekend they did a little bug fix to it. So it's 12.12, but it's the 12.12 that you need to have gotten today or yesterday. All right, we'll start. Start slowing the aircraft down as well. We'll go ahead and get some spoiler in here. I like to start getting to about 210 in the terminal area and about 170 once we get established on final. So we're a little bit behind the 8-ball getting the plane slowed down. That's okay. That's why you got the lever of shame there. So we'll take it to about 170. Once we get about 200, we can go ahead and get flaps in. Let it run down to about 195 because I'm going to need to, it's about to capture that intermediate altitude anyway. Alex at 12.2. It's about a 6-mile final. Aspen traffic citation 514 out to Vickers on about a 6-mile final, runway 15 on the RNAV GPS Aspen. We are descending.
Autopilot.
Oh my, we are very high.
If you're high, I guess that speed brake lever is going to come in handy.
Too late for the speed brake. I got the flaps out already. Flaps and gear out. I think we'll be okay. We'll zigzag it up the canyon a little bit. We can do that. That'll give us a few more track miles to get the excess speed off.
Altitude.
Yep, missed approach altitude's 14. Gears down in green, flaps set and checked.
Minimums.
Gears already out, Lori. We'll be okay. Aspen traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor, about a 1 mile final, 15 Aspen.
500.
Last call. Last call again. Overflared. Bounced it just a little bit. Yeah, that wasn't very graceful, but we got the job done. Didn't break anything. Boilers can come in. That is an extremely steep approach, and I was way behind the 8 ball getting the speed control, and I should have known better. That's all right. We got it done. Looks like we might be off at Alpha 4. Aspen ground, citation 514 Delta Victor's off of 15 Alpha 4 going to the FBO.
Citation 514 Delta Victor, Aspen ground, taxi FBO via Alpha.
FBO via Alpha, 514 Delta Victor. Alright guys, so the flaps and spoilers can go stowed. Heat to heat off, strobes off. Taxi light can come on. I don't think I ever got the landing light on during the landing clearance, which we didn't receive because we were on our own. But that's okay, I've got the taxi light on now, so we are caught up. And we will talk in a moment about the winning numbers here. I love this little building. I don't know if this is realistic to the airport, but it's gorgeous. I'm going to go ahead and assume this is where VIP parking is.
Is this supposed to be like a custom-made thing in Flight Sim?
Taxi light can come off. That's a good question. It might be. Might be one of the. I did get the.
You got with like the premium edition.
Yeah, I did get the premium deluxe. So anything that it came with, I have. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. This is kind of an iconic place.
Yeah, no wonder I didn't see any scenery for it online.
We'll go ahead and park it there. Parking brake can come on. Taxi light already off. We'll talk about the winning numbers here in just a moment. So yeah, very, very sloppy approach from the standpoint of altitude and speed management. Well, speed management in particular. The altitude was kind of managed by the FMC, but speed management on my part was horrendous. And that's what left us to do that kind of power off glide all the way in, but it worked out okay. Remember, you can always go around, as the song goes. Flaps and spoilers stowed, strobes, taxi lights off, pitot and static were off. And the terrain and weather radar, that should have been done on our way in, so we're not zapping everybody in the vicinity, so sorry about that, guys. Hope you've all already had kids. So there, that's off, and I think we're good now. Taxi light off, parking brake on. We can go ahead and get the engine number 1. Lava Cow, if you were a subscriber, you could do that.
You can always go around if it don't look right coming down.
Yeah, Oju says, yeah, we got the free vax after me there. Sorry about that. Apologies. Send your bill to Microsoft Flight Simulator. What else? Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and shut the engine number 1 down. Engine number 2 will act as our APU. But we can go ahead and shut the number 1 down here for a little bit. We're going to take a quick break out of the cockpit as well. We'll take the refs menu and we'll reset the minimums. Reset the warnings. Reset the refs. What else we got here, guys? Safety lights and seatbelt lights can come off as you guys can run in and take your little break as well. We will reset the squawk code 1200 and take off the mode Charlie. And check on our fuel and ETA. Don't know how well this is going to work out because, again, we're flying at much lower altitude and not as fuel efficient. I do have a separate profile for that kind of flying in this aircraft now, so we'll see if these numbers are anywhere near good. 926 on the ground, 931 on the blocks. Yeah, I'd say pretty close. And then 3,136, 3,136 pounds.
Aspen approach is
And
on
yeah, that's pretty close. That's 3,300 right there. So yeah, worked out pretty well. All right, sounds great, guys. And then finally, the landing rate winner was going to be the one who was closest to. I see. I got a raffle ticket to alphabet raffle ticket to put in there as well. We'll do that in a minute. Landing rate raffle entrant is the one who was closest to 166. So yes, a little firmer than I'm used to. I over flared it, unfortunately. I actually had it pretty well down to VREF over the numbers. Power out a little late, and I just put too much of a flare. I always say, I verbalize not too much of a flare in this aircraft, and I didn't verbalize it this time, and I overflared it, and that's why you saw the float start to come up, and then I had to kind of modulate that flare to set it down without breaking it. So just poor flaring on that one there. We had 166 was the actual. 174 from Iowa Scotsman, I think, is going to be the winner. That's only 8 away. We had a couple of you. 152 was going to be second closest there, Lava Cow. But I think Iowa Scotsman edged you out. So 166 was going to be 14 away for Lava Cow, but only 8 away for Iowa Scotsman. So Iowa Scotsman gets the entrant. If you guys disagree, if I've messed up the math there, do shout at me. Let me know. But as far as I can tell, it's Iowa Scotsman with the big win there here at Aspen. Iowa Scotsman KASE-KTEX. Congrats. All right, guys, one more leg to do for you tonight, but I think we are going to take a quick break out of the cockpit, do a little liquid recycling first. These legs are just a bit too short in order for me to do that at cruise, which is what I normally do, but I think we're going to go ahead and take a break while we are on the ground here, burning the fuel on the right-hand side. We'll rebalance it once we get airborne, no problem. But, yeah, we'll take a quick break out. We will check back in here in just a moment. I'm just trying to see what time. Whoops. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to scroll. What time did we say for our third departure? We said we would be airborne at the top of the hour. I think that's probably good timing. That'll give us a chance to take a little break, and then we'll do all of the route entry, file the flight plan, and we'll show you the route on SkyVector. We'll talk about the departure procedure and the approach that we're going to use into Telluride. So I think top of the hour, and then, yeah, a few minutes to taxi out. So top of the hour is probably a pretty good target, so we will stick with that. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break out of the cockpit here. Liquid recycling to do. Stick around. We got one more leg to fly for you on the Working Title CJ4 for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Here on the Slant Alpha channel, doing some Slant Lima ups tonight here in the Colorado Rockies. Heading to Telluride after this. Sit tight. Alright, guys, back with you.
Just in time, because I'm on short file.
Oh, see, are you? Am I looking the correct direction? Oh, I do see you. Alright guys, back with you. We're going to do one more leg tonight in the Citation CJ4 as we head up to Telluride out from Aspen, Pitkin County, which is where we are now. We'll take a peek at our friend STW's arrival as we start to put in our route for our third and final flight of the evening. Get the information here in front of me. Hate that it resets the speed to like nothing. Leave it where I put it. Very nice.
65 feet per minute.
Okay. Back into the aircraft we go. And we will start getting ready for our third and final flight, guys. We're heading from Aspen to Telluride. So the very first thing, actually, let's get the checklist in front of me, but I know that the first thing is going to be to follow the flight plan. That'll give our ground control. Oh, we got Aspen approach on now, too. That's awesome. All right, so we'll update. It's still Bravo. Let's go ahead and file our flight plan. It's going to be IFR from KASE to KTEX. Rifle still our alternate, just off to the west. Departure time is going to be, we'll say, straight up 10 o'clock, which is 10, 11 till 1, 2, 3. Oh, and also the Zulu time, current Zulu time is at the top of the flight plan window, so that's another good cross check you can make. Flight time for this one, at 38, and what's left in the tanks, 2 at 36. 325 and 16,000 still works. There is our route, which I will show you on SkyVector as well.
Aspen ground, TBM 3 Sierra Whiskey off at Alpha 3, taxi to FBO.
Let's come back over here. Let's blank out this one. It is KASE-KTEX. This is the route. It, again, for the third time tonight, is a little bit of a convoluted, not quite straightforward route. And the reason it is that is because, again, because of the terrain primarily. The Pitkin 4 departure. And again, we depart 3. We land 1-5. We depart 3-3 here. It's one way in, one way out. A little bit of an unusual airport, and the reason for that is because of the terrain that is south and east of it. Can't really use 1-5 as a departure runway. Nope, that's Telluride. Where are we going? Yeah, because it's kind of in this valley here. And so not really a great idea to use 1-5 as a departure runway. So arrive 1-5, depart 3-3. Very interesting in that regard. The Pitkin 4 takes us up these points out to Linz and then out to Grand Junction. Gleno is where it could end, but we can continue it out to Grand Junction. And again, the reason I chose to come out to Grand Junction is because if we terminated it at Linz or even at Gleno, which I think is right here, there's not a great way, airway-wise, to get down to this Cones VOR, which is where the approach to Telluride begins. So again, just because it's nice to come into Cones at an angle that doesn't require this crazy sharp turn, like if you were coming in from the north and east, and then had to bang that hard left turn and start that approach, we're going to come into Cones from a little bit more of a gentle angle so that we have a less of a sharp turn to make there. And so we're going to swing this route out to the west, even though it's not the most direct, but it's going to allow us a little bit more of a stable turn onto that approach that hopefully will have better speed control on this one than the last one, and make it safely down to Telluride to end the evening. Telluride Regional, again, does not have an arrival procedure like a star per se. but it does have a localizer to runway 9. Also got an RNAV GPS Yankee and Zulu to runway 9, and then the VOR DME Alpha. Again, also goes to runway 9, but because it is not as well lined up, it is not considered a runway approach to runway 9. Because it takes you to 12.5 at 6 miles, and then you have to get down to 9,000. So let's see if we can do... So 10,640 is the minimums off the RNAV Zulu. So let's do the RNAV Zulu. It gives us the lowest minimums, assuming our plane is capable of a LP, which is what is the LP? It's a lateral with vertical performance or something like that. I forget what the whole thing stands for. There's all these different kind of designations. LNAV with an NDA, or LP with an NDA, all these different RNAV designations, and whether your aircraft is capable of navigating those with appropriate precision is the determining factor. LINS 9 is preferred, but not required, says Lavacow. So let's look at it. Okay, so those are our approach. We're going to do the RNAV Zulu into Telluride. But let's see. So they say that the LINS is the preferred. I kind of figured that the RNAV departure, which was the pick-in, would be the preferred one. But I'll take your word for it. LINS 9 is preferred. And which way would that take us out? Can we also take that out to... Yeah, see, the LINS 9 is going to take us east. I guess LINS could take us just to LINS. And then we can go to Grand Junction. Okay, so I guess it could take us the same way. 343, and then a 273 to join the 303 back course to LINS. And then from LINS down to Grand Junction that way. I find that interesting that that's the preferred one, because this is picking as RNAV. So I feel like that would, well, first of all, I feel like it's pretty close to the same thing. So that's why I assumed picking was the same thing, because you do that 343, there's a point out there, and then you join that. You know what I mean? It's basically the same thing, but it's just RNAV points along the way. So pretty equivalent. I'm curious as to why one's preferred versus the other, if they're more or less the same route, and this is an RNAV procedure. So take your word for it, but we're gonna request the pick and 4. Just what our SOP says. Yeah, we're gonna request the pick and 4. If you want to reroute us, that's fine. But as far as I can tell, it's the same thing. And then, like I said, we're gonna do the Zulu, not the localizer. We're going to do the Zulu. Yeah, hold on. Let's look at that localizer. So the VOR was definitely a slam dunk approach. What's the localizer? RNAV Zulu, 12.9 at Setma, which is a 10-mile final. That's 11, 10. That's a 12-mile final. So 12,000 at 12 miles, or yeah. So the localizer allows you to get a little closer down. Actually, let's do that then. So the minimums on the RNAV Zulu are lower, but the localizer gives you a much more gentle. That gives you a 3.62. Oh, and this gives you a 3.59. I'm doing the math wrong then. Okay, well the RNAV Zulu is the better approach. Gives you lower minimums and a shallower approach. So that's what we'll do. And 2 dogs with the follow. We got 3 dogs here in the Slant Alpha household, so we got 1 more dog than, we got a total of 5 dogs on the channel now, I guess. Welcome, good to have you here. Alright, so Aspen, Pitkin County, the Pitkin 4, the Arnav Zulu into runway 9er. And do we have an airport diagram? Probably not. Yeah, no air. Up there is an airport diagram there. A lot of times when you don't have a tower, you don't have an airport diagram. And it's pretty straightforward runway. Roll it to the end, turn off the left. I am a little bit at a loss how to pronounce that one. I'm going to give it a shot here. But I'm going to bring it up on my other chat panel. Oh, Black Demon. Okay. On the chat panel, my main chat panel, that was coming in on real dark font, and I was misreading some of the letters. But on my other chat panel, I can see a little more clearly. Black Demon with the follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate you stopping in tonight. And we're getting ready to fly the 3rd and final leg of the evening here in that Citation CJ4, the Working Title CJ4 for Flight Sim 2020, the Working Title mod, and head out to... Yeah, I got it. I couldn't. I'm sorry. When it came up on that first on my chat panel at first, yeah, it was hard to read because I was misreading some of the letters. Was flying in Grand Junction earlier today, says Black Demon. It was very scenic. Yeah, this is a beautiful area. It really is. I've been over this area in a plane. I have not been to it ever. So one of my bucket list locations for sure. Alright guys, let's see if we can get airborne by the next 14 minutes from now, and I think we can. Flight plan's been filed. We can check the ATIS to see if it's updated. It is still on Bravo, so we'll check in with that. Go ahead and get the, we already have the ground frequency tuned in. We'll go ahead and get our clearance. And by the way, we already know 23.8 is our departure frequency, so we'll fill that in. And we're departing off of 3.3, we already know that. So we'll fill in some stuff that we already know. Aspen ground, citation 514 Delta Victor, information Bravo, IFR to Telluride.
Citation 514 Delta Victor, Aspen ground, thanks for Bravo, cleared to Telluride, picking 4 departure, then is filed, maintain 16,000, departure frequency 123.8, squawk 2701.
Alright, cleared to Telluride, picking 4 departure is filed, maintain 16,000, departure 123.8, and 2301 for citation 514, correction, 2701, 514 Delta Victor.
Stage 514 Delta Victor, read back correct.
Second time's a charm. Alright, we know we're departing off of 3.3. We didn't have our ground controller tell us to expect it because they didn't need to. We already have it. Information in the ATIS. If you'd read it, you'd know that. Departing runway 3.3. Alright, so let's go ahead and bang this route into the flight plan real quick. Again, the check localizer tuning is a remnant of the first flight. The warning can't seem to get it to go away, so we're just kind of stuck with it. But no worries there. Let's go back to the flight plan page. We are at KASE. Pop that in there. Destination is KTEX. KTEX-ray. And again, it's 90 miles direct, but we're going to go a little bit more of a circuitous route from that. Departures and arrivals. It is going to be the Pitkin 4 out to, I think it's Grand Junction, right? Yeah, Grand Junction. Off of 3.3, because that's the only one we can do. We'll execute that. We'll go back to the flight plan page. Next, after Junction, it is the Victor 382 to Cones. Victor 382, and Cones is ETL. I have no idea what ETL has to do with Cones, but I'm sure there's some other place name associated with it that we don't know. Victor 382 to ETL, and then it is going to be the arrival. What do we say we're going to do? Zulu. Off of ETL. Execute. And we'll go back to the legs page. Automator's working on the Grand Junction Airport. Automator did a freeware update to one of our airports here that we were at earlier that I did not have installed, so we'll have to check that one out next time. Anyway, where were we? Let's go back to our checklist here. We got the flight plan entered. We can do the takeoff performance. So we're going to performance. We did enter the passenger and cargo weight already. We'll just double check that is the current weight of the aircraft. That makes about sense, so we'll just go ahead and go with that. Takeoff performance. Again, static air temperature is 15. We'll enter that here. Again, we're not simulating real conditions today because of the craziness with which it coats white blanket of snow over everything, and you can't tell one surface from another, so we're cheating the weather today. But anyway, 15s, we're entering off the static air temp, and we'll go ahead and hit next. Again, these should not be blue. They should be white as you start a new leg. They will be blue after you hit the send button. It's in progress and complete. Okay, now they should be blue. 99 and 100, so the lighter we get, the lower those V1 and V rotation speeds go. Just for those of you who were not here earlier, we'll just talk through what these speeds mean. V1 is where we abort if we have any kind of a safety-related issue, losing an engine, or any other thing that would prevent us from safely flying the aircraft. If we get that problem developed before 99 knots, we will shut the engines down, we'll pull them to idle, and we'll abort the takeoff. We get above 99, we'll take whatever problems we got with us into the air. And at 100, just one knot above that, we'll rotate the plane, pitch up, and go flying. If we have one engine at that time, we'll pitch to 111. If we've got two engines at that time, we'll pitch to 140. Now, that's the actual VT is actually part of the engine out procedure also. But it's also probably about what you want to pitch to if you've got two good engines at that point, so I just kind of think of it that way. But anyway, yeah, there you go. There's the V speeds. They have been sent over to the primary flight display, so they are all good. And I think we are done there. We are ready to... It is going to be an awesome departure, says Joy Freshwater. This is a beautiful area. We are simulating not real-world conditions, so we do have the altimeter set to standard. We're going to double-check that the airport elevation is correct. 7760. Okay, it's pretty close. It's within about 80 feet, so it's a little bit further off than I would like it to be. But that's okay. We go ahead and get that squawk entered in. What was it? 2701, I think it was. Yeah, 2701. And the TA we can go ahead and step through the flight plan here. Oh, one thing I'm going to do before I do that. Yeah, we can get flight level change mode off. We can get approach mode off. Yeah, so we're just in roll and pitch now, and we'll get the flight directors off as well. Okay, there we go. So all that's kind of reset now. That's kind of good. Let us zoom that out just a little bit. Okay, let's step through it and make sure the route looks like we expect it to. If we go to MFD Advanced and start with the currently 2 waypoint, and then we'll hit next a few times. And we do see that that is... Yeah, so cones going from after cones, we would have to hear a controller say cleared for the Arnaz Zulu approach to runway, whatever it is, 9er at Telluride. We're going to assume that we will hear that, so we're going to go ahead and delete that discontinuity now. But technically, we are not cleared to start that approach after we get to cones until we hear a controller tell us that. Matter of fact, we do have Aspen departure online. Aren't going to have a controller at that time tell us whether we can and cannot do that approach. But I think since we might get a Denver Center on, we'll go ahead and leave that in for now. Leave that discontinuity just like it is. Alright, so let's go back to where it was. Step it ahead just a couple there. And we can zoom that in just a little bit for a better tactical view. So that when we depart, we'll know that we're following that sequence of points out here. Let's go to the departure procedure. Hang on. Yep, departure procedure, and we know that the initial altitude is going to be 16,000. Alright, so we got that set, and then the initial heading. Again, we're pretty much going to be LNAV right off of the ground on this one, on this Pitkin 4, but it's a 331 to this point Adney, so we'll go ahead and tune that 331 into our heading, even though we are going to more or less go straight into LNAV mode once we get the autopilot engaged. Okay, so that is all done and ready to go. Let us get the safety lights and seatbelts on, as you guys have reboarded the aircraft at this time, I should hope. And we're hoping to be airborne 5 minutes from now. I think we're okay. We're going to shut off the climate control. We are going to go ahead and get that engine number 1 running again. Starter's engaged. When it gets to 12, it will automatically hit the igniter there. And it has. We're going to watch to make sure that the temps and pressures all come up into their normal ranges, and we're not going to see, hopefully, any crazy out-of-control spike in the engine exhaust gas temps, or the inter-turbine temps is what ITT is. Inter or intra-turbine? Inter, I guess it's inter. It's between the two turbines. So there you go. The Pitkin 4 has a straight out, and the Linz 9 has a turn to maximize traffic with the obstacle departure procedure. Okay, got it. I got it. We're going to be okay, though. We're in good visual conditions. Okay, so everything is stabilized. The warnings have gone away. The status panel has come up. That means we can turn the engine back to normal. I'm sorry, the climate control back to normal, rather. We check our flight controls. We do a full left and then a center, a full right and then a center, full forward and then center, full back, center. Oh, opposite direction ops. That's what ODO. I'm thinking obstacle departure or something or other.
Aspen ground, TBM 341 Sierra Whiskey, request IFR to Telluride.
Gotcha, okay.
TBM 314 Sierra Whiskey, Aspen ground, clear to Telluride.
Full right rudder, center, full left rudder, center. Again, somebody outside would check the control surfaces, or you poke your head out the window and make sure the control surfaces all work the way they are supposed to. But we'll assume that everything there is good. And
cleared via the Linz 9 departure to Linz, then as filed.
Go ahead and set the flaps to 15.
2702.
Trim is
Can
at
you repeat
the
that top altitude, please?
bottom of the green range
cruising
there.
altitude is going to be 16,000.
And let's see.
Okay, cruise altitude 16,000.
Trim, passenger briefing. Since it's a pretty short taxi.
Correct. You can expect runway 33 for departure.
We'll expect 33 for departure, 1 Sierra Whiskey.
May I have your attention, please?
Okay, there we go.
Welcome aboard the Citation CJ4 aircraft. Your flight
Taxi
crew will
routing
make
is
every
pretty
effort
straightforward.
to
We're
make
just going to
pleasant.
taxi out
At
to
this time, please refer to the
3-3, so we're going to head off in a 1-5 direction. I think we're facing, a 1-5 direction really, so we're ready to go more or less as soon as we are ready. So parking brake will come off.
Aviation regulations require passenger
Aspen ground, citation 514 Delta Victor is ready to taxi with Bravo.
Citation 514 Delta Victor, Aspen ground, runway 33 taxi via Alpha.
3-3 via Alpha 514 Delta Victor. Alright, it's yelling at me because I don't have the pitot heat on yet. Now that we're moving, we can go ahead and take care of that.
Seats must be in the upright and outboard position, and your headrest extended per instructions located near your seat. To fasten your
We'll do a check of the brakes before we leave the ramp here.
Pull on the lap belt strap to tighten the lap belt.
Brakes are good.
To fasten the shoulder harness, pull the shoulder harness strap across and in front of you, and hook the metal end onto the stud located on your lap belt. To release
I'll get the weather radar up here and the terrain radar up here.
To release the shoulder harness, unhook the metal end from the stud. Because of the possibility of unexpected turbulence, please keep your lap belt securely fastened about you at all times while in your seat. In the event of cabin depressurization,
Departure frequency is indeed preset. That's also because we don't have a tower, so that departure is also going to be... Oh, we didn't preset the departure, did we?
and place it over your nose and
Guess we can do that.
adjust masks by pulling the elastic straps and breathe normally. Don your mask prior to
What is that frequency again? I know I got it here somewhere. 23.8.
An emergency exit is located at the right side of the aft cabin. To open the emergency exit, remove the
23.8.
plastic panel covering the release handle. Turn the handle in the clockwise direction. Pull the top of the emergency exit inward.
Don't think I ever got the taxi light on, but we can do that.
And into the cabin. Discard the emergency exit overboard. Exit the cabin by stepping through the opening onto the wing and continue forward off the wing. The main entry door, which you use to enter the aircraft, may also be used as an emergency exit.
Alright, I am going to engage Toga, but again, there's no auto throttle in this aircraft, so it's not going to send us rocketing down the taxiway. It's just going to activate the flight directors. It's going to indicate a 20-degree pitch up. It's going to start sequencing us through the points in our plan. So we are ready to go there.
Aspen ground, KBM 3410 Whiskey, requesting taxi to 33.
You can see the temps and pressures all look good.
Whiskey, running a tertiary taxi via Alpha.
3 via Alpha, 10 Whiskey.
And tighten the strap. Inflate the life vest after exiting the plane by pulling downward on both red tabs.
Alright, guys.
If the life vest fails to inflate, blow it to
We're a minute or two late getting airborne, but our ETA is going to be close enough, I think. Minute or two is considered on time. Anything less than 5 minutes late is on time. Any airline will tell you that.
Citation 514 Delta Victor, you can go ahead and contact approach 123.8 for your departure.
Alright, 23.8, 514 Delta Victor. Say thanks.
You're welcome.
Aspen approach, citation 514 Delta Victor, short of 33 at Aspen, ready?
514 Delta Victor, Aspen departure, hello, runway 33, line up, wait, wind calm.
Alright, line up and wait, 33, 514 Delta Victor.
SkyWest 3181,
strobe lights
190.
Can come on.
Maintain 190 for...
We won't do the landing lights yet until we get our takeoff clearance.
November 4 Delta Victor, Aspen, wind calm, runway 33, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 33, 514 Delta Victor. Okay, now the landing lights are on. Just as he said it, I clicked them. Temps and pressures all looking good.
330 vectors to 5. 330 for 3181.
Advance the throttles all the way into takeoff. Away we go. Remember the rotation speed just shy of 100 knots, or 99 and 100, something like that. There we go. Rotate. Pitch to 140. Again, the GPWS warning on the sub-second and subsequent departure is a bug.
Don't sink.
Pitch to 140, and we are fine.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
As we get 1,000 feet above the ground elevation. Get the flaps up. Engines from takeoff to climb. Autopilot. Nav mode. Light level change.
514 Delta Victor, ready to contact altitude 2000.
514 Delta Victor's 9,200 going to 16,000.
514 Delta Victor, roger. I'm going 16,000.
16,000, 514 Delta Victor. Alright, so 240 on the flight level change.
Yeah, 3181, set maintain 16,000.
Okay, we did get into climb. Gear up, flaps up. We are following the...
3181. Say again for 3181. Yep, Scout 3181.
Following the path. We're in LNAV and flight level change with altitude select on, so everything is good.
Aspen approach, TVN 3410 Whiskey, ready for takeoff. 3410 Whiskey, Aspen, wind calm runway.
Love this mod, says Joey. Yeah, indeed I do as well.
Tree for clear for takeoff, 10 Whiskey.
And since we're pretty much through 10, we can go ahead and get the landing lights and logo lights up. Then everything got the logo lights on anyway.
Altitude.
Slim Pickens is with us. JF Ribis, is that what it is? JF Ribis, thank you very much. Welcome to you both. We are flying the Citation CJ4 mod of the, we're starting the working title. Citation CJ4 mod of the stock aircraft here in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Favorite little biz jet to fly. This channel, by the way, for those of you who are new to the channel, we mostly fly radio-based navigation techniques. So we don't usually use a flight management computer or any kind of RNAV capability on this channel, but tonight's just a little different because I just love this little biz jet. So I break the mold, break the theme of the channel every now and then just to fly it for you, regardless of that theme that we usually abide by here. Normally we'll do all that old school radio-based navigation, VOR radio tracking, NDB airways. Yeah, we're up into the red line there, 305 knots. I'm going to back it down just a little bit just to get it back down to about 300. The other thing we can do, a couple other things we can do, actually, the belts.
181, center maintain 14.
And what was that, the taxi light on? That can come off.
Check.
I think I must have turned the taxi light on, but I meant to turn the logo light on.
Center maintain 14,000, 14,000. 14,000, 3181.
We're back.
For Delta Victory, Lima Airspace, Denver Center offline, radar service terminated, frequency change approved today.
All right, frequency change approved. Thanks for the service. 5 and put out to frequency. 22.8. Well, I'll tell you what. 22.8 will go into the standby. We'll keep listening in. I think he's got a couple of other aircraft he's working. We'll just keep listening to the channel just to have the chatter in the background. Anyway, so yeah, what did we say? The landing and logo lights off, taxi light off, seatbelt lights are off since we are at cruise, and we can.
So 3181 turn left heading 280. 280 over 3181.
Go ahead and keep it up to about 300 knots. Slim Pickens says, I'm watching on my Apple TV in the living room, so I can't type too well. Using voice, excuse my typing. Nah, no worries, man. No worries. It's a pleasure to have you here. I don't have an excuse for my bad typing. Just suck at it. I fly a plane marginally better. Alright, good gracious. Again, there's no auto throttle in this aircraft. The aircraft will pitch to hold that climb in your set speed. You set the climb thrust and the plane pitches to maintain that 240 knots, but there's no auto throttle. So once you're level, only throttle control is manual. Slim Pickens, have you tried the DC-6? Oh, yeah, we fly the DC-6 all the time on this channel. The full show schedule is down there underneath the About tab if you want to check out and see what we do and all kinds of information about what we fly and how we do what we do. Probably way more information than you would ever want. But, yeah, the DC-6 is a favorite of ours here on this channel. Definitely fits the mold of that old-school radio-based navigation, VOR tracking, and all that kind of stuff. It does come with a GPS if you want to cheat, but we fly that thing old school, man, so, yeah. Slim Pickens hits the follow button on that there. That's awesome. Hope you'll stop back and see us. Now, I'm on a bit of a reduced schedule, Slim. Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern is our normal schedule. We used to do a Friday show as well. Wife and I are just about to pack up and move. As I'm just about to start a new job next month. I do have a day job, by the way, and this is not my living. But once we get into May, so Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern for March and April, and then once we kind of get settled in, hoping that by the time we get into May, I'll be back on that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time schedule. You can follow through the Apple TV. If so, we're definitely in the Jetsons age of tech, says Joey Freshwater. He managed it somehow.
10 Whiskey, you'll leave my airspace, 10% off my radar service terminated, frequency change approved.
He managed it somehow, so I guess the answer is yes.
10 Whiskey.
Again, this is north up mode. It's a planned mode. It's not meant to be an aircraft following mode. I just like it, so I use it in flight anyway. Not normally used in flight, normally used to just verify your route, but I like it, so I just manually step it forward every so often as needed. That's not the way most air crews that fly this thing for real use that mode, but it's the way I like to do it. So this north up mode is meant to be more of a verification of your flight plan, just to make sure it's a visual check to make sure that what you put into the FMC is indeed representing correctly. And then this track up mode is what you normally use. And then over here you'd use the rose mode or vice versa. You put the track up mode here, you put the rose mode. Rose mode kind of gives you that deviation needle. I hate that mode. I think it's kind of clunky looking for me. I'll use my deviation indicator here, and then I'll have the navigation display track up here and north up here. So that's just the way I prefer it. And that's not what most operators in the CJ4 will do, but it's what makes me comfortable. And damn it, I'm sticking to it. As we get southbound from Grand Junction, I think it's time we start briefing this arrival into Telluride. It's another kind of difficult one, another kind of a steep approach here. We don't need that. We don't need that. This is the RNAV Zulu to runway 9er off of Cones. We're going to be coming, I think, off of this airway where Diuk is. Or no, maybe where Eknof is. So it's a kind of a gentler turn. At Cones, we can be at 13,000. And then Setma at 12.9. So we get that whole 100-foot descent there between Cones and Setma. So hold on to your hats there. And then 12.9 down to the runway, which is 9,000. So 13 to 9. So 4,000 feet to lose in 10 miles. It is another... I can't... It's 3.5. Okay, so it's not that much steeper. So normally you'd go 3,000 feet in 10 miles. We're going 4,000 feet in 10 miles. So it's a little steeper than average. But we will definitely need to make sure we're configured by the time we pass Cones. Get configured at least down to 170. And then, make sure we get those flaps in and gear down early so that we don't get that runaway speed problem that we had coming into Aspen. Just edging the throttles down just a touch here. I kind of aim for 300 because it's a nice round figure. We're cooking along. 305 is tolerable. Let's go ahead and go through the entire approach briefing just to be sure that we're good to go. So the very first thing you want to do is the legs page. Make sure that all the points are in there with their altitudes. After Cones, so there's no Denver Center online. if there was one, we would make sure that he says at cones, cleared for the RNAV Zulu runway. I'm going to use the airport diagram. There's no useful information on it. At cones, cleared for the RNAV Zulu runway 9 or approach. So that gives us this leg from cones to SEPMA. So we'll check on that in here. After cones, it is indeed SEPMA. All right, good. We'll back that out. Connect it. Okay. SEPMA's at 12.9. Runway 9's at 9,000. Okay, so it does not have the intermediate point in there, which is fine. Oh, no, there isn't one. There isn't one. SEPMA and then the runway. If we go missed, by the way, bang, a hard right turn back to what? Back to cones. 15,000 is the missed approach altitude. So we'll get ready to set that, and that is indeed in the legs correctly. 15,000 at cones VOR. So that is all correct. Should we need it, hopefully we will not. Let's go ahead and do our landing performance so we can get our V speeds. We'll go to performance and approach. We don't know, so we're not simulating real world conditions there, so we're just going to go with 14 as an average value. Again, this error message is left over from an earlier leg. It's just kind of stuck there, a little bit of a bug, no big deal. We'll go next page. 108 and 115. Again, they should not be blue because we have not sent them yet, but we will send it now. And now they will be blue. And now we can see, well, they'll be in the primary flight display once we get slowed down. 108 and 115, so we'll have to remember those. Let's go ahead and switch to 22.8 now. We can start making some Unicom calls on the VATSIM network. We are on the VATSIM network, by the way. We're not on just a regular multiplayer server. That's how you hear those radio comms coming through. And that is something that you don't get on just any multiplayer server. We are on the VATSIM network. If you'd like to get on the VATSIM network and you're not sure what to say to controllers or how to put a route together, things like that, do check our YouTube channel out. We've got a VATSIM tutorials playlist that you can see there, and some decent information on how to get started on VATSIM if you were ever thinking about trying it. All right, let's run through the approach check. Let's make sure I got everything here, guys. Legs are set. Missed approach legs are checked. We know that it is a hard right turn. 15,000 is the missed approach altitude. V speeds were reviewed and sent. 108 and 13 or 108 and 15 was it? 108 and 14. Frequency and course not applicable. It's an RNAV approach. Minimums for that approach are what? Let's set those. 10,640. All right, that is set. We know that the winds are going to be calm because we're not simulating real-world conditions, and the cloud layer is whatever this cloud layer is at, so that shouldn't be a problem. But we should be okay by the time we get down to minimums for sure. And then the mist is 15 with a hard right turn, and then it's a roll it to the end, turn off left if we do make it down successfully. So that's our approach briefing, and I'm sticking to it. I think we are good. Really just need to make sure that when we are getting close to cones VOR, we need to just make sure we crank that speed all the way down to 170, start getting configured early so that we don't run into that same speed control situation that we did coming into Aspen. Guys that are new to the channel, we've run 2 concurrent raffles on this channel. Oh, we owe a few of you those alphabets points, or is it just, yeah, it's just Ingram. Okay, well, we can take care of that. Just real quick, let you know how those goes, how those go. So there's 2 ongoing raffles on this channel, guys. The next drawing is March the 30th, so you've still got a few weeks to save up those Twitch Alphabets points at the bottom of the chat panel, our Twitch channel points. 1,000 of those can be redeemed for one entry into the raffle. If you save up for 5,000, though, which is advisable because we still have a few weeks before we're pulling it, but 5,000 cashed in all at once gets you 6 entries for the price of 5. So it is to your advantage to get that bonus entry if you save up. However, if you're not sure you're going to hit 5,000 by the 30th, or if you're not sure you're going to be back here, you got 1,000 you want to cash in multiple times even. You can 2, 3, 4. You can, like I said, you can cash them in as many times as you want, 1,000 at a time. It's just to your advantage to save for 5 and cash them in all at once if you prefer to. But anyway, yeah, so 1,000 for one entry, 5,000 for 6 entries, and we'll make that drawing on March the 30th. The second raffle is entered by virtue of being the closest predictor of our vertical descent rate upon touchdown. Not just yet, but soon we will get your predictions as to the vertical descent rate. And the closest in either direction, above or below, gets an automatic entry into that second raffle, that landing rate raffle. Alphabet's raffle winner and the landing rate raffle winner on March the 30th each get their choice of any one of our multiple different Slant Alpha merchandise items. Choose any one that we'll send out to you. Shipping is on me. And if you prefer not to have my crap, that's fine. We've also got the choice of a $25 Amazon gift card or a $25 xplane.org store gift card. So $50 in prizes to give away on March 30th. And if you're not here the night that we do the drawing, that's fine also, because we'll just contact you via Twitch Whispers and let you know that you're the big winner. Always a raffle, 2 concurrent raffles going on this channel. As a matter of fact, as soon as we make those drawings, we reset all the entries and start collecting them for the month of April. So there's never an opportunity where you don't have a raffle you can enter on this channel. Again, we mostly fly general aviation. We mostly, unlike tonight, mostly fly aircraft where we do that old school radio-based navigation, VOR, radial tracking, NDB airways, bearing tracking. We fly the NDB and VOR and ILS, analog ILS approaches. Can fly a lot of it. Oh, we're a little bit fast here. We're going to back the throttles down. Hand fly a lot of it, so challenge ourselves to do as much as we can with old school navigation methods and hand flying without the use of without overuse of autopilot. Definitely try to make sure our stick and rudder skills are up to snuff. So you'll see that we don't, once we've started descent, you'll see that we get the autopilot off pretty early and hand fly it the rest of the way in. Most of the time. Occasionally we'll pop an airliner flight in for you on the stream. We do fly the 727, which is also through that old school radio-based navigation. But once in a while we'll fly that 757 as well. Do all of our flying on the VATSIM network. Again, if you've ever thought about trying it, we've got some tutorials on the YouTube channel you can check out that should get you kind of started in the right direction if you're not sure what to say or how to put routes together. What are some of the preferred aircraft? Well, you can look down under the About tab, all the information you'd ever want to know on the channel, and then some. But primarily it is it's the 727, 757, and the CJ4. And then we do fly the JP Logistics mod of the Cessna 152. We fly the Coronado Mooney Ovation for Flight Sim 2020. And what's the other one, guys? What am I missing? 152, the Mooney. Oh, the DC-6. 152, the Mooney, the BizJet, the CJ4, the DC-6, and then the 727 and the 757. We also fly occasionally the Douglas DC-3, the AeroWorks C-47 Skytrain, which is we fly it affectionately as a civilian DC-3. Oh, the About tabs on the Apple TV, you can't quite get to the About tab underneath. That's no problem, man. But yeah, those are the 7 main ones that we fly. So a lot of vintage type stuff here on this channel. And like I said, a lot of general aviation, a lot of old school radio-based navigation. Yeah, you might be able to view the stream on your phone, or at least if you got the stream on the TV, you can probably scroll through the supplemental information on the phone. All right, we are going to lower the altitude here. We're going to presume that we've been cleared to start this approach. I'm going to go ahead and put it into VNAV mode. MFD advance, and we'll step forward a few. Go ahead and get the seatbelt lights back on.
May I have your attention, please? The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you.
And we'll get our passenger briefing started. And we're going to start shedding some airspeed as well. Oh, I never did get the 50 pounds moved over. Let's start that process this late, because that's going to end well. Oh yeah, and then on second and subsequent legs, you always got to do that twice.
May I have your attention,
There you go.
please? We will be landing shortly. Please turn off all portable electronic devices, stow tables, secure luggage, and loose articles. Return your seat to the upright and outboard position. Extend your headrest and fasten your lap belt.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start dropping the speed down to 210.
Please remain in your
And then
seat
as soon as
with
we
your
are
lap belt and shoulder harness
getting ready to
securely
make that turn, we'll make that 170. So we'll be nice and ahead of the game with the speed control this time, guys, unlike last time. You guys can start putting some predictions into the chat. No bot command is necessary. But start putting some predictions in as to the vertical descent rate as of the moment the wheels touch down. Positive or negative will know that mean a descent rate either way. And again, the closest predictor in terms of vertical descent rate in terms of feet per minute will get an automatic entry into our March 30th landing rate raffle. STW says I didn't see it. What was the previous? Yeah, it was at Aspen. It was 166. I overflared it, came back up, gained some altitude, and then I mean, I modulated the flare back down. So we didn't break anything, but yeah, it was over flared. As I always say, you got to put a real gentle flare in this aircraft, and I overdid it. But I mean, it was passable. It was a little bit more firm than we'd like to be, but certainly not egregiously so. 210 is kind of what we're aiming for. We'll get down to 170 as soon as we're getting ready to make the turn at cones. And the last call, the field elevation here just above 9,000. I think we're going to call the last call 9,500 for those predictions, guys. I think we can get logo lights back on. We'll go ahead and turn landing lights on. And hey, it's been a long night. You never know. It is a tricky runway. That's true. A bit of an illusion with it too. It kind of slopes and gives you the impression that it's coming up on you quicker than it is. Yeah, it's a goofy one.
Oh, is this the one where it like kind of goes downwards a little bit and then comes back up?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a tricky slope to it. Depth perception there is all off. Yeah, indeed, I agree.
Isn't it also up on like pretty high peak? Or
Oh, it's
something?
like a plateau. Yeah, Catalina's kind of the same way, where the terrain and the slope combine to make it look like it's
I'd
way.
argue Catalina's not as bad as this place.
Yeah, but your descent path looks like it's way off. Let's get ready to make an announcement. As soon as we make an announcement, we'll get the taxi light on as though we have been cleared to land, although it's a non-towered field, so we're not going to have a landing clearance. Even if we did have a center control on, they'd be handing us off to make our advisory call on 22.8. And again, that check low tuning warning is left over from a previous leg. So you can safely ignore that. Alright, it has started us down. Telluride traffic, Cessna 514 Delta Victor's crossing cones, VOR 5600. Inbound on the Arnett Zulu runway 9er, Telluride. Alright, let's get the speed down to 210. And actually, let's go ahead and back it down to 170. Come on, Toolbar, get out of there. Don't need you. Kind of having a little trouble getting speed off. We'll go ahead and throw a little spoiler in. I-15 Tango Delta with the raid as we are just getting ready to make our arrival into Telluride. Setting as a 12.9, and then we need to lose 4,000 feet. Alright, first notch of flaps is in. Let's go ahead and get the gear down since we are descending on the glide slope. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And yeah, normally I try to keep 170 to a 5-mile final, but because this is a steeper than normal glide slope, I think we're going to go ahead and let the speed bleed off. Again, it's 113, 114 and 108 are the ref speeds here. Setting as a 10-mile final, so that's what we'll call here. Telluride traffic, citation 514 Delta Victor's 10-mile final runway 9er Telluride. Last call. Gear is down in green, holding on the second notch of flaps. Missed approach altitude again, 15,000. So we will set that here in just a moment as soon as we kick the autopilot off. Oh, we're not even, I didn't even kick it into approach mode. No, that's okay.
Autopilot.
We'll go ahead and kick the autopilot off now, and we'll set the missed approach 1.5. Get the throttles out, get it slowed. Second notch of flaps coming in. Minimum's 10.6. VREF coming down. Oh, there we go. Runway's in sight, guys. Alright, flaps 35 set and checked. Gears down in green. Missed approach altitude 15,000 sets. Going to be a bang, a right turn if we need it. It's going to be a roll it long and exit left if we get down safely. Landing checks are complete, guys. Let's put this on the ground. 14 is our V approach. Let's keep it. And last call is going to be 95. So get those.
Minimums.
Get those predictions in. TK will take it since it looks like it might have been a typo. We'll take it. 201 will be your prediction. It's a little fast on the V approach speed. Should be 114. Probably not going to get a 500 call. We'll go ahead and last call for the predictions in here, guys. Probably not going to get a 500 call because the terrain is so crazy prior to the runway. All right, so we're close to V approach. We're getting to the point now where we can go ahead and start pulling it down to V ref of 108. Let's see if we can correct the center line here.
$52.
Well, register.
I'm gonna need some pliers and a set of 30-weight ball bearings.
What the hell you need ball bearings for?
It's all ball bearings nowadays.
It registered a little more firmly. So those of you who guessed higher were probably not ill-advised to do so. Yeah, we did not use spoilers. I was happy with it though. I mean, as weird as this looked like a 52 to me, Mrs. Melvin. It felt like a 52, but it didn't register a 52. But that's okay. I was happy with it. Put it that way, guys. Go ahead and get off the runway, and as soon as we're over the hold short bars, we'll get the aircraft cleaned up. We'll go ahead and make our call. Telluride traffic, citation 514 to Victor clear, runway 9er at Telluride. Flaps and spoilers stowed, pitot off, landing lights off, strobe lights off. I've done a lot worse there, says hi-fi guy. Yeah, so have I. And I know that they're waving us in over there, but we're going to go ahead and park right up in the VIP parking. I also think that the terrain at this airport might be a little bit off. That's okay.
Definitely looks like.
VIP parking is right here, guys. There we are. Parking brake is on. Taxi light is off. And what else, guys? Yeah, we'll go over the winning numbers here in just a moment. But let's go ahead and get the aircraft shut down. Again, I was happy with the approach. I think the changing slope of the runway made the touchdown register just a little bit firmer than it ordinarily should have or would have based on the performance of it. But again, I was happy with it. I floated it. I was a little long. I floated it a little bit too long, so I overflared it again. You want to just put a gentle flare in, just a touch of a flare, and just let it settle in. I was a little bit too aggressive on the last two flares. I have to get back to the way I did that first touchdown, which I was really, really happy with. But that's all right. Let us get the plane shut down. We'll talk about... Ooh, what's the master caution for? Oh, I knew I would forget. I knew I would forget. Oh, well. This is the handcrafted Asobo Airport as well. So I know Aspen was. Is Telluride also? I guess it's not surprising. Alright, anyway, flaps and spoilers were stowed. Strobes, taxi lights off. Pitot and static off. Again, didn't get the terrain and weather radar off on the way in as we should have. So we'll get that taken care of. And then arriving at the ramp, get the taxi light parking brake. We'll go ahead and get the engine number 1 shut down, although the engine number 2 is going to follow in short order. Let's go ahead and just... Yeah, so the fuel balance didn't work out. But that's okay. We knew it wouldn't. So the engine 1's off. We can reset the minimums. What else we need to do, guys? Avionics can go into dispatch mode. And we'll go ahead and shut the number 2 off. Oh, climate control can come off as well. Beacon light can come off. Safety lights and seatbelt lights can come off. Go ahead and change the squawk back to 1200. And back into standby mode. Melvin's going to head out. Says, Bush League wore me out. Well, it tends to do that. Good to see you. Appreciate that raid, sir. Glad that you were able to stop in and see the final arrival. And let's check on our fuel and ETA for leg number 3. Excuse me, guys. So we had anticipated being on the ground at 10:38 Eastern, on the blocks at 10:43 Eastern. How'd we do? Oh, nailed that. And then how'd we do with the fuel? 2176 or 2200 left in the tanks. I think what I added up there just a minute ago was 2400. Okay, so we wound up with a little extra fuel in the tanks. Again, we're flying at a lower level than we normally do in this plane. I did adjust my profile for that, but obviously we were a little bit more fuel efficient than what I planned for, but that is okay. So,
a little extra's
yeah.
better than not enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly correct. Rather have just a little bit extra than run a little bit short. We've done that on stream in this aircraft, too. Anyway, let's look at that winning number, see who is the winner of our landing rate raffle. That is the person who guessed closest to 185. So 185, that was the number that registered. Again, I think that was partially a factor of the sloped runway here, but while you guys crunch those numbers, I'll go through them in just a moment here. But we are going to go ahead and get the nav lights off, the logo lights off, the avionics the rest of the way off. I think that was the pushback thing that popped back up there for a second. And then the battery switch off. Okay, that should do it. Again, I tell you what, let's finish out the stream on a nice view of us parked in the VIP parking area. Whoops. Try that again.
Yeah, I'm about 12 miles on the ILS, by the way. Or localizer.
Oh, I think we're probably wrapping up before we get here then.
Okay.
Sorry about that. All right, guys. Well, there we are, parked at Telluride Airport in Colorado. Thanks for flying along with us to our tour of the ski resorts. 185 was the winning number. Let's see how we did. 122.30, 143, 115, 90, 150, 301, 301 became 201, and then 110. I think that 201 is actually going to be the winning number, is it not, guys? Is that that's 16 away? This is on the low end. Well, first of all, there wasn't anybody else in the high 100s, was there? Nope, nobody else in the high 100s. And then for the mid 100s, if we're 16 away, that would make it 169 or higher. I don't think we had anybody that close. We had a 150 at 143. Yeah, it's TK0090, guys, with the 201, I think is going to do it, right? TK090. All right, anybody think that I've got that math wrong? And again, we are allowing that 301 was immediately corrected to a 201. We're going to allow that quickly enough corrected. That 201 was what was intended, so that's fine. But yeah, TK090, and I was still on a pretty far out final when that correction came in as well. So I don't think that was an adjustment based on performance. I think that was gut, and I think his gut paid off there. Where are we? KTEX on 3-7, so TK090. Along with Iowa Scotsman and Automator with the winners of the landing rate raffle for tonight. Landing rate raffle entries, I should say. We'll get those into the fishbowl. We've also got our Alphabets points raffle. Don't forget, guys, cash in those Alphabets points, 1,000 at a time for 1 entry, 5,000 at a time for 6 entries. It's to your advantage to save for the 5,000 if you can. We're not doing another drawing until the end of March. We do these drawings toward the end of each month. So March the 30th will be our next one. If you don't get a successful landing rate guess in, or if you don't get saved up enough Alphabets points to get in on the March drawing, don't worry. After the March drawings, we will reset all the entries and do it all over again for the month of April. Winners get their choice of any one of these Slant Alpha merchandise items, or if you don't want any of my crap, an Amazon or Xplain.org store gift card works for you just as well. Select those drawings, winners on March the 30th, and we'll reach out to you and let you know if you're the winner, and see what you'd like to choose. Keep on our friend ST, see if he's just a couple miles out there, so see how his landing goes as I talk. Oh my god, that flight sim dude, Tommy with the raid as well. Yeah, Tommy, we're just about wrapping up here. Compilation Kid with the follow right on the heels there. Compilation Kid, welcome. Thank you very much. We just arrived at our 3rd Colorado ski resort for the night here at Telluride. We're watching our friend STW make his approach as I do the wrap-up. But sorry that we missed it this time, but Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time is our normal show schedule. We also normally do a Friday 7 p.m., which we're going to try and resume around May. But for March and April, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll get back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday as soon as we can. After the wife and I make our big move, we got to move the studio down to a house about 3 hours away for a new job that I just accepted. So lots of changes coming up on the Slant Alpha stream, but hopefully back to our normal schedule once we get all settled in at the new place. So thanks again for that raid, that flight sim dude, Melvin Leroy with the raid as well just a few moments ago, and Compilation Kid with that last minute follow. Again, hope that you'll catch us on the next one. The best way to see what's coming up in the short term on the channel is to follow us either on Facebook or Twitter. We're Slant Alpha on both of those venues with the links down there at the bottom of the channel. If you would like to see the full show schedule coming up, it's posted on our Facebook page. It's also on our Discord server, which is down there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and it's also underneath the About tab here on the Twitch channel. So all kinds of ways to see what's coming up on the show schedule. And again, that Discord server, bottom right, if there was stuff you were trying to say to us here in the stream chat and I didn't see it because I was busy hand-flying the plane, I do apologize. It's certainly not personal, but you can join in on that Discord server, ask any questions that you might have had about anything that you saw or heard tonight. Or just say hi, whatever it was you wanted to say, and I didn't see you, but I do pretty much monitor that Discord. I check in on it every couple of hours, pretty much 24/7, so when I'm not streaming, that is the best way to interact with us over there, so please feel free to join in on that discussion. Lots of information about the channel is available for you over there on the Discord as well. If you are a channel subscriber, you also have access to a special channel where I kind of give you some behind-the-scenes info about stuff that's coming up on the show. So do please feel free to check that out. Hope that you will, and hope that you'll come back and see us. Last but not least, our YouTube channel's on the lower left-hand side of your screen, and that is where all of our old flight broadcasts are. But in addition to that, we've got some VATSIM tutorials, as ST makes a very nice-looking arrival here at Telluride. Do have some VATSIM tutorials available on that YouTube channel, the playlist called VATSIM Tutorials. Please check that out if you needed some hints on what to say to air traffic controllers, or how to put routes together, how to read VFR sectionals, what the slant codes mean, Slant Alpha, Slant Whiskey, Slant Lima that we were banding about earlier, if you don't know what those mean, or if there's any other information that you're looking for on the VATSIM network. We've probably got a tutorial that at least gets you started on it, so please feel free to go ahead and check that out as well. All right, that's going to do it for us for tonight. Again, we appreciate you flying along with our tour of the iconic Colorado ski resorts. I'm trying to read while I do the camera work here. It's not working out too well for me, but I apologize. Wednesday, we are back on, and we are flying along with our friends at the Virtual USA Flying Club. A really neat grass airstrip in Long Island, tucked up right up underneath the Class Charlie airspace at Islip, Long Island MacArthur Islip Airport, called Bayport Aerodrome. That's kind of the unofficial official home of the Virtual USA Flying Club. It's a group of general aviation enthusiasts who enjoy putting together events, probably 3 or 4 a month, on the VATSIM network. And we're going to be doing a celebration called the Bayport Out and Back. Bayport Aerodrome, because of the way it's tucked up under that Charlie, has some very, very specific departure and arrival procedures. We're going to showcase a departure out of Bayport. We're going to fly around Long Island somewhere. Haven't quite figured out where yet, wherever we want to, really. And then we're going to fly right back into Bayport. We're going to be in that JP Logistics mod of the Cessna 152 that we were talking about earlier, back here in Flight Sim 2020. We do fly a mix of Flight Sim 2020 and X-Plane on the stream, but the preponderance of it is in Flight Sim 2020, and that is what we will be flying for you on Wednesday in that JP Logistics mod of the Cessna 152. In and out, or out and in, I guess if I say it in the proper order, of Bayport Aerodrome. That's identifiers 2-3 November there on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, March 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is going to be midnight Zulu on Thursday. Back into Flight Sim 2020 again 1 week from tonight. Again, no Friday show this week, or probably throughout March and April, but back on to Flight Sim 2020 for March the 14th. Again, we were talking earlier about that PMDG DC-6. We're going to fly it for you on Monday the 14th, reenacting a couple hops out of the departedflights.com or timetableimages.com archives of all those vintage airline schedules. We'll find a couple. We'll find a couple hops that the DC-6 would have done back in the day, or we'll chase down some VATSIM air traffic control, one or the other, and fly that DC-6 here for you on a week from tonight, on the 14th. All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. Hope that you enjoyed our little tour up here in Colorado in the Citation CJ4, the working title mod of the CJ4. Wonderful, wonderful aircraft. We are going to head over to visit one of our friends who flew along, or continues to fly along, looks like wrapping up the Bush League Backcountry Fly-In Series for this month. This is event number 29, a monthly series that Melvin Leroy and Downwind Sim and I used to put together on jointly. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break from those, but Melvin Leroy and Downwind Sim are still doing them. Downwind Sim looks like he's still kind of wrapping up his tour of the Idaho Canyons and the Frank Church Wilderness area. So we'll send you over to his channel and hope that you say hi and send him your Slant Alpha love as you get over there and watch him do it. And he flies in virtual reality. So you'll see his head movements in the bottom right and his face cam as he scans around the cockpit of what looks to be the Prop Strike Studios Bush mod of the Cessna 172 for X-Plane 11 there in that Bush League Backcountry Fly-In Series event. So we'll send you over to him. Do say hello to him and hit a follow if you enjoy his content. If you like my channel, you probably will like his. And he's just another fun one to watch as they fly all these kind of bush strip areas, and Idaho is where they are at tonight. So, all right, check him out, and we'll hope that we'll see you back here on Wednesday again as we head up to Bayport Aerodrome in Long Island. So we will see you then. In the meantime, enjoy Downwind Sim's stream and be happy and healthy and safe in your own travels and your own adventures in the meantime. Thank you, Milo Art, with that last second follow there. But guys, we will talk to you on Wednesday from Long Island. In the meantime, take care. We'll talk to you soon.